Welcome to the show where we discuss the second season of Marvel's premier Netflix miniseries, and discern the truth about why this show stands above the rest. The elements of quality storytelling that other shows are blind to.
But not the show.
So join us as we discuss Discerning Daredevil. Dragon, this is why I need to have the intro in front of me. I'm sorry. Apparently, I can't remember simple intros and sentences. Apparently, I need cue cards. I'm like the bad Saturday Night Live guest star who just like obviously is reading off the cue cards. I'm so sorry, Dragon. Anyways.
Someone impale him with a sigh. I have one.
Look. All right, so we were talking about Daredevil Season 2, Episode 13, the season finale. A rather divisive season finale, I must say. This is definitely not among, like, the season finales that people are really hyped about. But we're talking about a cool day in Hell's Kitchen. Lots of cool stuff. Also, a lot of ninjas, Dragon. So many ninjas.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we'll break it all down. We'll break down the pros, the cons, and I'll actually defend some stuff. Like Dragon, first of all, once we get into the Elektra and Daredevil arc, that's one of the things that I just kept hearing people harp on. Is like, oh, Matt just switches over to Elektra and wants to be with Elektra so quickly. I'm like, no, it was a whole season worth of build-up to get to that point. So there are certain things in this episode that are divisive that I'm going to defend. Other things like the endless ninjas are kind of, I'm over it. But with that in mind, Triken, let's get down to it. Let's break down the plot.
Okay, so here's the plot for the last time this season. I hope you folks are ready for it. I got my inside out tissues because it's over. But here we go. So, essentially, the Hand kidnaps people Daredevil has saved in the past, or people he's tangled with on a regular basis, to bait Matt and capture Elektra. Foggy, meanwhile, gets a job offer from a familiar face. And no, it's not Wilson Fisk. Different familiar face.
I wish. That'd be a really cool storyline.
Mr. Nelson, I've looked over your resume, and I think you're just the man I need for this job.
Could you imagine? That'd be a twist. Anyways, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Anyway, basically blackmails him into working for him. But no, we're trailing off. Anyway, so Karen, meanwhile, is working on a plan in the midst of everything, because, of course, she's the first person we saw in the show that, Daredevil saved. Not the first person, period, but the first person we saw, so she's definitely a target of all this, which is rubbing Matt the wrong way. So Karen works on a plan to save the hostages, and also she's working her way through writer's block. There's a little fact there. She's got some bad writer's block in this episode. Let's see. Frank moves forward after an awesome cameo. Matt and Elektra plan a future together after a Blaze of Glory showdown with the Hand, which leads to Elektra's tragic sacrifice of herself to save Matt.
Oh, yeah.
Nobu dies, awesomely. Matt mourns Elektra and finally tells Karen the truth. Oh, and it's Christmas Eve.
Yeah, it's like a Shane Black movie, right?
Yep.
Like, all this stuff, all this action, shenanigans, and whatnot, and Christmas. Yay. Okay, so let's get into the arcs, Dragon. Let's break them down. Let's break them down one last time. So we got Matt. And Dragon's kind of, I got to admit, it's kind of, I feel like Matt's arc and then his dynamic with Elektra are kind of like one and the same this episode, so I'm going to struggle a little bit to break it down. But essentially, Matt's whole arc here is just kind of like cutting ties with humanity only to kind of realize that he needs humanity is kind of the best way I can put it. Like, Elektra's death kind of makes him come around to, like, okay, I need someone in my life, and this is like... And I don't know, I got to admit, Drake, there's certain things that don't really play that well for me. Like, I don't necessarily know how to buy his reveal to Karen. I'm not saying it's a bad reveal. I'm just saying, like, after we have I think this stuff with Elektra is really well done. And so I'm not really sure him going back to Karen is really the way that I want to see it go down. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Well, I've had a lot of time to kind of think on this one, Tiki, and I think I kind of hit a place where I think I see some really interesting potential there. I see some. I kind of like where Matt's arc goes, and I think I like I think the payoff's a little sweeter on the rewatch.
Okay.
Well, first and foremost, I think a major theme with Matt in this episode is kind of a thing. Again, I love it when on these final episodes, as I mentioned before, we kind of get really cool themes, thematic things going on throughout the characters. And the big one for this one is the thing that's not alien to Daredevil, which would be truth. Truth is a huge thing here, especially between Matt and Karen, which we'll get to a little bit later on. But let's just say, the very beginning of this episode, Matt is very honest with himself now. Again, Matt's gone through all his stuff. The theme of acceptance was really kind of episode 12, and now this one is like, okay, he's accepted it, and now he's embracing that truth. And that's really his arc of this one. He's embracing truth of like, okay, yes, I am in over my head. I don't have a plan, as stick girls, and as he's like kind of taped to a chair. And points at, yeah, well, I'm working on a plan. Again, we're just gonna situation, so I don't. Again, it's Daredevil at his usual, or he's kind of by the skin of his teeth and working on a plan as he's going along. But he's a clever guy and usually works out pretty well. Importantly, he's sticking to his moral instincts that, again, he was kind of questioning in episode 11. So now basically Daredevil's back on track. And something I kind of noticed rewatching this episode is that while I am a little dicey on the whole on the Hand's plan to lure Daredevil out, which we'll get to towards the end, I suppose. But I will say this, though. An element now thinking about it as we're talking about, it's kind of dawned me while we're kind of going through the motions of the intro, is that Matt is it's so interesting that since the Punisher set him straight a few episodes back, since he set him straight, and if you look at 11, 12, and 13, it's kind of like a 3-act structure. It's Matt rebooting ever since that Punisher encounter, and again, he's like, okay, he's opened his mind, okay, no, getting off the killing thing, and then of course he's episode 12. He's opening himself up emotionally, which kind of brings Elektra to his side. And here, that basically opens him to his past ties, and basically Matt Murdock slowly becoming reborn inside. They're mixing together against Daredevil and Matt Murdock, not just. Actually, by the end, it's kind of one and the same. We get a visual shot that shows this in a really cool way of like Matt Murdock on the rooftop without a mask on, which is okay. It's Matt and Daredevil. They're both one person now. It's kind of his overall arc of the whole season. He's reconciling both of these guys in one instead of just one.
Right, and the whole season has basically just been like, I can't choose. Like it's like I can't choose if I want to be Spider-Man no more, or Peter Parker no more. You know what I mean? It's like he's grappling with it. It's like it's either the superhero or the lawyer. It's either or. And yeah, you're right. By the end, it is very much a compromise. It's very much like, well, I am both. I am one and the same, and Matt Murdock has to have the same sort of philosophy and the same sort of ideals as Daredevil does, and so on.
Yeah. And the thing I reference with the Hand's plot here of like kidnapping all the people Daredevil's saved in the past, though, is that opens him up to like kind of the last chakra, if you will, just a little Avatar, last Airbender reference to the folks out there. But basically, it's kind of the last.
Doctor Strange when I hear chakras.
The point is the last thing there is again. So he's opened himself up to Matt Murdock, just kind of the kid that grew up and kind of got a grip on his senses and everything, made the personal connections, and of course the last level of that is being the vigilante again, being the hero in terms of saving the people that he's in the constant battle that Daredevil's like, he kind of put these people in danger, but at the same time he's saving them. It's like the whole kind of Batman question: am I making Hell's Kitchen worse or making it better? So again, he's basically back to saving people again, which he's been kind of ever since kind of he contemplated retirement. He's been kind of avoiding that. Now he's kind of fully. He's at the end of the season. He's back to where he was at the beginning of the season. It's kind of a fun full circle thing with his arc. He's finally back to. Kind of makes you wonder how season 3 is going to go. Or Defender's like, oh well, he's going to go through all of this again. No, hopefully not.
Yeah, hopefully not. I mean, you know what? To tell you the truth, I definitely think there are like I kind of. We'll get to it more with Rail Trail. I definitely think going forward, Stick is going to be a bigger presence in the show. That's one of my predictions.
I'm thinking more Stick and Defenders, but that's a fair point. But
Defenders and also Daredevil. Like I could see Daredevil season 2 like being a Stick and Daredevil buddy comedy. You know what I mean? Just like them as like curmudgeony roommates living together. I mean, maybe I'm just taking the whole like "let's go home, kid" line too seriously, But I don't know. I just picture like, all right, kid, this is my side of the apartment. You stay on
Yeah.
your side of the apartment. All right, you get it. You get it.
Anyway, let me play this one here because I also love. There's a great moment that kind of shows you that okay, Daredevil's back, and he's back to the guy we know and love. He's not only he's kind of the two awesome sides of Daredevil. Matt Murdock and Daredevil at the same time, though he's a little better. So I think we not only have we gotten back to kind of the idealistic, like I'm going to prove Fisk wrong at the beginning of this season, but he's evolved a little bit. So I mean, we have an inkling of okay, what we will get with Daredevil in the future. Now he's come to grips with being the hero a little bit more. He's a little lighter at the end of this, and I like that. He's a little bit more. Again, we let's just say in the scene later on, we're going to see Daredevil get an iconic piece of himself in a way. It's like, okay, now we're getting closer to the comics where this is the Daredevil that he enjoys jumping off rooftops in a way, which Elektra, with all the stuff with Elektra, is kind of something he was coming to grips with this season. Of like, no, it's a serious job. I got to protect people. No, it is kind of a fun job at the same time, man. It's kind of what we get here. So let me play a little scene here where he's basically sticking to his moral guns, which again he's just showing you it's all Daredevil's back. It's really nice.
Can't move until Shore's here. I'm not here for them. I came to take down Nobu, and you said you'd help.
I know, and I will, Elektra, but right now the people in that
Nobu
building...
used to draw us out. I'm sorry, Matthew, but saving them wouldn't help us.
There are 20 innocent people in there.
If we go in there right now, Nobu gets what he wants. You dead, me captured. That wins. I know it's harsh, but the people in there are a drop in the ocean compared to what happens next if Nobu gets hold of me.
These people are in danger because of me. And I'll be damned if I'm not getting them out.
It's the wrong place.
It's the only play. You stay here. I have work to do.
Again, that whole he sounds so chipper at the end of it. Stay put. I got work to do.
You know what I love? It's like he's so confident in his decision. You know what I mean? He's like, there's no doubt in my mind. This is the only play, and And Dragon, I also love the payoff to that where Elektra comes in like mid-fight, like I got bored. Dragon, like that Elektra is like exactly like the Elektra that you and I have like envisioned in our heads, like the character Elektra. Like I got bored, Matthew. I was just sitting on the rooftop waiting for you, and I was checking my watch, and I was like, wait a minute, I don't even have a watch. Watches are silly. And then I caught myself. My mind wandering. I was like, I better just go help Matthew. Killing is fun. I like killing. Okay.
Right. Let me fire through a few observations here I have with Matt, because I think that, again, it was kind of I did find some really good substance to this one to rewatch. So tell me if this sounds crazy to you, Tiki. I kind of thought that Matt in this episode, again, just now he's getting back on the horse of like he's getting back to where he usually is, and now he's looking towards the future because everyone around him, interestingly, I noticed that everyone around him has moved forward, but Matt. In the story, every other character, especially in the last two episodes, they're all moving forward in their stories, especially.
I absolutely did notice that, especially with Foggy and Karen. They've both kind of leveled up in life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like thematically, he's the slow pony. He's the last one to do it. Even Brett Mahoney's moved up again, thanks to Daredevil. Again, everyone is Wilson Fisk. Everyone, Punisher, literally everyone but Daredevil himself.
Maybe not Turk Barrett.
Well, technically, if you count Luke Cage, so I mean I don't know. It's kind of up in the air, but you know. We'll get there. My point is, everyone's moving forward, and basically the whole crux of the season, I think, is kind of exposed through that angle. Is that Matt is facing the truth. With someone he can be honest with. Again, that being Elektra. He's facing the truth of like, well, here's someone I can be honest with, kind of someone who's kind of tailor-made for me. All the stuff she said in the beginning that was like all kind of like Casablanca-esque, kind of shooting her down with. Oh my God, she's right. I mean, I do. A part of me doesn't enjoy the thrill of it here, and also I think he's questioning a little bit. A part of him is questioning the impact he's having on Hell's Kitchen, the grand scheme. Again, kind of questioning if Fisk was right. The whole, you think that one man in a silly little costume can change anything? I'll get back to that thought towards the end here, but let me say this. Think about the events that when he visits Fisk in prison again, he looks like he's not really making the impact he wants to. These hostages are impaled because of the stuff he's done, and he's contemplating an actual solution. So, to anyone out there who's like saying that's so out of character for Daredevil, let me throw this at you. He is contemplating an actual solution here. If he takes himself and Elektra, who are the reason the hand's really all around here, because again, I have something the hand wants. I can get them out of Hell's Kitchen if they track us for God knows how long. We can handle ourselves, and we can hopefully start a life together. I can be happy, and I can, save my city, which is what
Dragon, it's basically like the good version of the Bruce and Selena dynamic from Dark Knight Rises.
Well, let's just say it's that, but it's more story tied than kind of epilogue tied.
Well, no, but I mean, I definitely think the idea with that as well, with the epilogue, was kind of like Bruce and Selena. I mean, you're right; it is more explicitly said that they're taking it out for that reason. But yeah, I definitely think Bruce and Selena, like, it's it's discussed. Like, I don't want to get into a Dark Knight Rises debate, but
anyway, just to continue on
Sure.
this, and also here, what's interesting about it, it's a way. It would be a solution that one protects the city, protects his city, and at the same time cleans up his own mess. Because if you look at it, this season, a majority of all the hand stuff, again, it's kind of Matt cleaning up his own mess.
Which is honestly one of the problems I have with it, is that it doesn't really feel like it compels the storyline at all. It just kind of like, the hand stuff is all very much just kind of like stalling the storyline for me.
Well, I don't know. That's a little. I kind of see your point there, but at the same time, though, we knew the hand was an inevitable threat that was coming. We knew that from season 1, that there was a war that's going to start with the hand. So Elektra coming back it's facing Matt with some kind of, he's reflecting on himself. So it's kind of tied into the present threat, but also kind of something character driven. So it's kind of I'm not sure about that. I think eventually it gets to the place you're talking about. I don't think it's like that from the very beginning, though.
No, it's not like that from the very beginning. But I think at this point, with all the Nobu stuff, and like, look, Nobu's cool, man. I like Nobu, but I don't necessarily think he needed to be like the main antagonist of the season or anything.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. Well, again, that's something we'll get to in kind of the final, kind of like, we'll give like a final critique at the end, of course, of Nelson and Murdoch with that sort of stuff. But I definitely see your point, though. Nobu, as cool as he is, yeah, he's not exactly cutting the mustard as much as I like him to.
Yeah, right.
Okay, let me see anything. Sorry, anything else major here? Ultimately, he's been dodging the bitter truth this season. Again, looking at it as Fisk kind of having a point. And basically, it's so funny. It's so twisted that, again, Fisk has it all together this season, and Daredevil has the complete opposite. It's just
right.
But again, it's kind of a question: is Matt making Hell's Kitchen worse, or is he like kind of basically he's deluding himself this whole season? He's been dodging the bitter truth that I'm sorry, I got it.
Okay.
Sorry, it occurred to me.
Yeah.
Basically, while I think ultimately at the end of the day, T, and one of the things I really like about this episode is that in the end of the day, it kind of answers the question that Fisk posed to him, one man, so it doesn't make a difference. The answer is yes. But at the same time, there's like a bittersweet, again, the bitter truth that Matt's been dodging here is that, like the bitter irony, I should say, is that in the thing he used against Fisk when he visited him in prison, it's yet another issue, again, between these two guys. It's like just jamming the knife in there, is that he said, remember, there's that wonderful moment where he told Fisk that, hey, New York's in your blood. Hell's Kitchen, New York is in your blood like it is mine, and you will never leave the city. The minute Matt, just kind of finish out the arc here again, the minute Matt contemplates leaving his city, it's almost like a Gotham thing. Again, bear in mind, Gotham, the take on Gotham that not only our hopeful take on the show, but mainly the Scott Snyder take on Gotham is very much modeled after New York, bear in mind. So it's kind of a similar simpatico thing here. But basically, again, the minute Matt contemplates leaving the city, much like he uses to his advantage with Fisk saying, hey, you will never leave New York because you and I we're simpatico here. It's turned on. His own words are turned on here. Again, the minute he contemplates leaving Hell's Kitchen, his life comes crumbling down. He is landlocked to that city. He can't leave it, and it's such a tragic kind of realization. He has there, and almost it's like a destiny that Elektra believed in early this season. Think about it. She was believing in destiny. She was contemplating destiny about the hand of, like, maybe I'm Black Sky. I'm a killing thing. The hand's going to have me in their clutches either way. I'm either destined to die or I'm destined to fall into quite literally, the hand. At the very end of it, he's accepting and facing that truth that he can't leave home. Basically, he returns home in the end. This is the absolute last thing of the arc. I mean, I'm full circle. He's been evading truth. And as Karen said in a wonderful thing she says at the end of the episode, she mentions cowards, and Punisher calls Daredevil a coward in the beginning of the season. Thinks he's a coward. He's doing the half measure thing.
Sure.
And he's kind of right. It's not just a cowardly thing of like not the man without calling the man without fear a coward, which is such a poignant thing. But you're a coward because you're not facing the truth that you've been kind of sidestepping this whole season. You've been in denial of things. So that's his arc at the whole season. Teak is that at the very end, he faces the truth through Karen. It's like my fear. I am the man without fear, but my big fear I've been denying is that I don't want to let people in. I'm not letting people close. He keeps going through all these hoops that jump through. They separate people, separate himself, kind of find out who am I? Am I Matt Murdock? Am I Daredevil? Well, the truth is he's both. He's one and the same, and he needs to take the next step, which he does at the very end with Karen. It's like I need to step forward here. I gotta branch out and bring my friends even closer, so I don't have any weak points kind of tearing me down.
Yeah, I can see that. Definitely.
And Elektra helped him get there.
Like I said at the end, it is very much kind of like, the whole season is like an identity crisis, right? Like, and then at the end, he's just kind of like, well, shoot, like because Elektra died and because like he realizes like, okay, I cannot handle this. Like I cannot handle being away from people. I need these ties. I need to let people in.
And it's like the only move, it's so fascinating, the only move he needed to do this season. He only needed to do one thing this season. He didn't do it till the very end. He only needed to tell Karen. And
you know what? I'm sure we'll talk about this when we get to Karen, but I think it's pretty ambiguous if Karen knew the whole time or not.
I think she definitely, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Just remind me, we'll get there.
Okay.
Just the transition here. So again, Elektra was kind of key in that realization. So speaking of the girl, let's get to her.
I died this episode, Matthew. I went to the great gig in the sky. That's a little Pink Floyd reference for you kids.
Don't bring me roses. Bring me orchids. They're my favorite.
I am literally rolling around in the dirt, Matthew, because I am buried underground. Oh, wait. No, I'm not. The hand stole my body. All
Someone's digging up my neighbor. Can someone dig me up next?
Okay.
There was such a nice boy that dug up his mother.
Okay, you're making a Bates Motel joke. I get it. All right.
Anyway, so Elektra.
So in all seriousness, I really do like Elektra's arc. And I gotta tell you, like, I think most of the criticism for Elektra this season has been kind of unfounded. I really do. I think the problem with Elektra isn't so much her and the performance there. I think that's all great. I think the performance is really good. I think the writing on the character is good. I think the arc is good. The only problem is that she kind of brings with her the baggage of having the weak point of the season, which is the hand storyline. You know what I mean? But her on her own is really good.
Yeah, mainly because she is kind of the plot device for the hand. That's why she's getting the criticism, because the hand in general is like all kind of the last minute stuff. It's like, hey, last minute reveal coupled with, she kind of next to the MacGuffin of the season. So that's why she has.
I still don't necessarily think that it was that much of a last minute reveal, because I feel like the reveal was kind of like a build up. Because we got the whole thing with Stick wanting to kill her, and we didn't know why he wanted to kill her and all that. So really, like I said, it's more just kind of like the execution of the hand stuff. And like I've been complaining about kind of like the repetition of like, oh, a wave of ninjas and another wave of ninjas. My God, it feels like I'm playing fucking Ninja Gaiden here.
You know how long they were holding off till that bow and everything, because they were running out of ninja ideas. You can feel it, right? It's like, oh God, we're running out of ninja stuff to do. Basically, I think the only thing they kind of used throwing stars at the very beginning with the Yakuza, but they didn't want to do it for the hand, so the hand didn't throw any ninja stars.
Right.
So they just ran out of ninja stuff because it's stars, it's smoke bombs, it's swords, and arrows. That's all you got. You got those four.
But I mean, even still, with the plot device of Elektra being the Black Sky, or the Black Sky, right?
Yeah, it's Black Sky.
I was thinking of Black Star, which is a David Bowie album. I'm sorry, I got
not Black. Bowie. It's not Black Star, you silly Tiki.
That album is very sad. David Bowie died right when he recorded it. I'm sorry, just a fun fact.
And now you're depressing everyone. I'm also dead.
Oh, God. And I get to hang out with David Boy. It's awesome. Okay. Oh God, we're gonna run long because of all the Electra stuff. I know we are. Anyways, and
Stop bringing up dead people.
Okay, with the Black Sky, I do genuinely really like her arc with this, and kind of Matt being her rock, and Matt being the thing to make her kind of come around and come to terms with it, and with the whole, of realizing essentially that the whole Black Sky thing, it's a label. Yeah, you might have been raised as a killing machine, but at the end of the day, you're still a person. You still have your ideals. You still have the things that make you you. So that's really what I think. Really, it's definitely it's funny, isn't it? Because I think whereas Elektra, her influence on Matt was mostly kind of shedding his ties to humanity, I think Matt was helping Elektra find hers.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a trust earned, because at the very beginning they didn't trust Matt didn't trust her at all, and despite all the big reveals, again, the Black Sky thing, the fact that he still trusts her after all of that, that really kind of bonded them. And Matt proves, and she really proves it with the whole, and this is kind of dicey, because I think this might be a thing of how it's shot, but it's kind of hard to tell. Again, this is kind of a mark against the episode, because this thing is it's kind of, I like kind of as they bring it up, because I don't want to be that guy who might be getting it wrong, but basically it's in that ninja fight, she's killing people, right?
Yeah.
There's no way. Yeah, that's what I thought, right? I think what they, because again, when you have size as weapons, it's really hard not to kill people. That's kind of the thing.
I don't really think that's a big. I think at that point it was just kind of like I could just see Matt being like, "Yeah, I'm not totally okay with it, but it's either them or us." It's like, and at that point,
I know.
And at that point, like, look, we've seen so many ninjas. They're video game enemies. That's all they are. They're fucking generated video game enemies. They're just waves and waves and waves of them. Like, they have no humanity left, really. They're just kind of killing machines.
Yeah, basically, let's just say this. Part of me wonders, like, if it would have been more interesting if she didn't kill anyone during the fight, because it basically looks like she's not killing excessively. That's basically what it is, though. She's not killing excessively. Right. She's killing with purpose. And again, killing for like a life or death thing. This, like, if they get past, it's killing for survival.
Mm-hmm.
And importantly, just I think what makes that better is the fact, okay, she's Black Sky, which is like the most world-renowned killing machine. She's only killing the hand, making sure no casualties, no innocence, no gray area in this one case. So again, the point is she's grown, and my main point with all of this is that it's not that she died on Matt's terms necessarily, but she did not die a monster. She, again, much like with Frank. Again, Frank didn't become a monster. He became a monster on his own terms, much like Elektra did. Elektra was again, not a monster. She died she died a hero, but it could have been, I want to say she died a monster on her own terms, but again, she wasn't monstrous, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Again, the kind of quote Doc Ock from Spider-Man 2, because we love Spider-Man 2 references this season. She did not die a monster. I will not die a monster.
Spider-Man 2 really has been like our main go-to reference for the season, hasn't it?
And it's kind of funny. This episode in particular, it's not just the Spider-Man. Spider-Man 2 has been through the whole season, but this one in particular is Amazing Spider-Man 2 at the end.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
In a good way. I'm just on the Gwen Stacy,
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. So importantly, Elektra, she's still focused on the mission. You're right, she is kind of the rock for Matt here. She's keeping Matt focused as he spirals with guilt and stuff. And with Matt, she's convinced that they can, thanks to Matt, she's convinced that they can have a life together, their own way. They can do things their own way. Again, they're together. They can accomplish anything, and that's kind of they're feeding. In a way, they're kind of feeding this fanciful addiction in a way, but in a good way. Again, it's kind of this thing they've been doing the whole season, where they felt in the flashbacks they fed their bad impulses, but now they're feeding their good impulses. Let's show you how they grow.
That's a good point. Yeah, it's a good kind of full circle dynamic there.
Yeah, and ultimately, though, I have to wonder, what's your take on this? Do you think ultimately, kind of Matt's influence on her is her downfall?
How so? I don't necessarily think so. No.
Well, I say that because, again, ultimately she does die, and she does die, and it's still like she was willing to put it all. Basically, she went out the way she wanted to, and that resulted in her death. But technically, she still would have. I guess it's not really a downfall. I'm just saying, ultimately, going Matt's way, she ended up there where she might not have died had she been with the hand. I guess that's kind of the point I was trying to make there. But
Yeah.
I guess again, it's personally what she
Can you hear me?
wanted. So again, it's all. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, just make sure, because sometimes when a microphone accidentally comes unplugged, then I have to like reboot the whole thing. So I'm glad that's not the case. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's like, you know, she died fighting, you know, fighting Matt's way instead of like fully cutting loose, which might have just killed everyone, then got out of control, and then she would have been lost forever. So I guess that's kind of what I'm getting at.
So you're getting at like, I mean, I don't necessarily. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good. I don't necessarily think.
I'm not saying it's an issue. I'm just
I don't think the episode really calls attention to that. You know, it's funny. It doesn't really call attention to her killing people one way or another. So I don't know. It's like that might be one of the things. Like, it would have been interesting if he would have, you know, if maybe he would have had a line or two with Stick about that subject. You know, about her killing or not killing people, and if that would have led to her downfall. But, you know, I think it's just like a good observation. I don't like fault the show for not including it or anything.
Yeah, exactly. I was just questioning if like I was just bringing it up. That's all. That wasn't really like a point against it or anything. However, let me bring this though. Again, I love one more thematic thing. Bring, then I'll play kind of the death clip, because we owe it that much to her. But again, I kind of like the idea that, again, destiny kind of wins out in the end. It kind of brings tragedy to their romance. You know, she's still, at the end of the day, she was worried that destiny might win out, and in the end, destiny kind of does win out. Stick's idea of destiny happened, and the hand's idea of destiny happened, because she fell into the possession of the hand at the very end. And Black Sky was killed, as Stick, you know, foretold. So again, both things kind of came true, and there was no fighting it. There was no happy ending that they wanted for each other that was going to happen. Matt still, you know, he can't leave Hell's Kitchen again. So a potential kind
of ironic, just because bad things like follow Matt Murdock, that in a way, like maybe if Matt would have just shut up and not said anything, you know what I mean? Like maybe if Matt would have just like saved all the romantic stuff for after they survived, then maybe it would have had a better impact, because I just kind of feel like Matt sort of jinxed himself in a way. Like, wait. We have to like make eternal vows to each other if we get out of this alive. I don't know. Just because,
honestly,
like we said, it's like Matt Murdock has shit luck. So,
well, let's bring up one more important thing. It's going to transition into the clips here. So let me. I'm going to argue, Tiki, that I'm just going to occur to me in the moment here that had that moment not happened before the battle, Matt would have died, because that motivated her to sacrifice her own life for Matt, I think.
That's a good point.
Again,
that's a good point. Yeah.
Because it kind of motivated them during the fight. So that kind of was a necessary thing, because remember, that was like the whole, like, hey, if we survive this, you know, we can. Basically, it's like, this might be our last moment together, so let's kind of bond. Let's bond over the life we could have, even if we die in this moment. So it's basically,
because before then they were basically like resigned that they weren't going to get out of it, right?
Yeah, they were convinced they were going to die, and then Matt kind of brings a little bit of hope in the moment of like, hey, you and I. Basically, they kind of have the fanciful life they want in the moment in case they don't have it later on. So that's kind of why they're talking about it. So it's a really sweet thing. But and of course, ultimately, kind of pans out like this. I love that. I love that it's emotion of her saving Matt instead of just kind of being murdered kind of to the side there. I like that. It's like a direct, like, she, in the end, you know, Matt's fate, the trust that they put in each other did pay off. It saved Matt's life, and at the same time, again, it's kind of her making peace with like a destiny, whether it was like any one she wanted. Of course, like whether it's the Black Sky destiny, which is like on the side she was trained with all her life, or if it's on the kind of the other side of like, hey, I'm going to make sure the hand doesn't get what they want because I sided with Matt Murdock.
Mm-hmm.
Just like fighting destiny or accepting destiny. It's up in the air. I kind of like that's up in the air. What do you think?
Yeah, you're right. It is very ambiguous, as is a lot of things at the end of the season. So I think that was kind of like one of the points, is to like leave a lot of the story arcs kind of up in the air. So yeah, I can see where I'm coming from.
So grab your inside-out tissues as I die before you.
Oh, God.
It's going to be so sad. And wow, that's a really good scene, right?
Yeah, a lot of sad bits in there. You know, like Elektra just kind of barely coming to you, like there's nothing left. That's a heartbreaking line, right? There's nothing left now. And then of course Matt like being like, try not to talk, you know, like I feel like that's almost a cliche with superhero stuff when someone dies. Not necessarily the try not to talk scene, just like we're gonna get you help. But actually I actually think it's kind of like a better, like usually it's like we're gonna get you help. Now it's just like he's like save your breath. So it's good. Yeah, that's yeah, really good stuff.
Yeah, importantly, I just again the thing gives it more spice. Tiki is that moment where it's that she has that tear run down her face, and does it always hurt to be the good guy?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, him saying yes, it does, because he knows him seriously. Again, with that, I love that. Last thing before we move on is I love that in the end again that she died. Again she died a good guy. She did not die a monster. She did on her own terms as a good guy, which I think is ultimately what she wants. She wanted freedom to kind of make a choice, and she was able to do that with her last action on here. I thought it was really poetic, really nice.
Yeah, totally. We'll put.
All right.
Okay, let's move on to the Punisher. I kind of wish he had a little bit more to do this episode. I kind of wish, like, I don't know. What do you think, Dre? It is satisfying that he gets the Coke and a smile moment at the end of the fight, but I kind of wish that somehow he would have actually been involved with the fight.
You know what? Here's the thing. So,
it's kind of like a tease, right? Because we do have him suited up in the skull and everything, but we literally just see him like fire one shot and then nod, and that's all we see of him with the skull.
Well, no, he does. He shoots 4 shots.
Okay, well, you know what I mean. He fires the gun on one occasion, and then that's it. Like, we don't get to see any extended action with him in the skull costume.
Well, first and foremost, you gotta remember, he's just passing through, so it's really good luck that he showed up when he did at all. So he has to find a rooftop.
Which
he
is,
has
again,
vantage point.
one of my other problems with it is that it seems a little convenient that he would just show up.
Yeah. Well, it's just basically it's kind of this. It's a payoff to the friendship, and it's kind of a you help me move forward, and I'm going to help you kind of move forward.
Don't get me wrong, the moment itself is really well played. I just like the parameters around it are kind of questionable, I think.
Yeah, but it's just that kind of great Coke and a smile feel good moment of like, hey, Frank showed up and he helped him, and the moment again, Matt's really down. He might not make it because again, he's grief stricken by Elektra. He's tired after facing all these freaking ninjas. The helmet's off again. He's Matt Murdock and Daredevil. You got a question also: does the Punisher see him? How good's his eyesight?
Right. Actually, I was going to bring that up too. I was wondering. Maybe we'll.
It's kind of funny, I don't know if it's a reference to Batman Year One or not, but it's dark out. He can't really see that well. Yeah, you don't know.
And then of course, when Punisher's just. Oh, I'm sorry. You have the line.
Yes, I do. So again, the moment goes a little something. Basically, the Punisher Coke and a smile moment of like, who swoops in but our old pal Frank Castle. It's kind of that goodbye, and I don't know, T. I think that works with me about the spacing and like the whole like just the fact he's not like directly on the rooftop and not earlier is because he's in there just when he needs to be for the kind of the last moments there, but at the same time it's because again it's
like I say, it's more so just my selfish desire to see him in an action scene with that costume. It's totally selfish on my part.
Yeah, but you see what I'm saying, though. It's basically like there's one. It's like Karen can see him from that point too, and just kind of like a great moment, like all like her story paid off, and just seeing, okay, well, Frank's going his own path. He helps save the day in the end. So again, it's kind of Karen gets a little something out of it. Matt doesn't. It's like from a distance, and it's kind of like a. Of course, Matt kind of he can definitely hear it if he doesn't see it from where he is. Of course, he knows like, hey, he definitely heard that the whole like the whole that see around red, which is really really sweet. And he kind of Daredevil kind of made that happen. He didn't need to kind of visit him there. I don't know. It's like it's kind of like the whole thing the season's been battling. Though it's very symbolic of the season. Of, there's always been kind of that divide between the Hand stuff and the Punisher stuff, and in the end, the Punisher stuff's kind of cooler.
Yeah, I see what you're getting at. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, when he says "see you around red," it's basically just like "see you in next season" or my own series or Defenders Red.
You gotta remember in the comics too. Again, Daredevil and Punisher are always like running into each other and having these sorts of debates and stuff. So they always will kind of. There is a chance of Punisher up, and maybe not season 3, but definitely future seasons he could show up.
I really want him to be in the Defenders somewhere. I know that's not confirmed yet.
I would. Again, there was talk for a while of Punisher being kind of where everyone's been waiting for Punisher to be announced as part of the Defenders, and there's talk of that for a while, but it kind of just dropped off. We don't know. However, now here's the thing, Tiki. There's currently talk that Punisher might be coming a little early, which could be Defenders.
Yeah.
Which could be Defenders. Tiki, there's a bit of an echo or something.
I'm sorry. I accidentally unplugged my headphone for just a sec. Sorry.
Anyway, okay, we're fine now. The point is, there's talk that there's some Punisher stuff that's ready. So whether that's the show coming early, potentially the end of this year, they may have been able to find a way to squeeze him to the very end of of this year because they're trying to do 3 shows, which is something they're definitely doing for 2018.
So you're saying the Punisher could come as early as the end of 2017? Wow.
There is a shot at it. I'm not saying it's official. I'm just saying there's talk of Punisher stuff.
It seems unlikely, but I mean, what do I know?
All I know is they're shooting the Punisher stuff now. That's all we officially know. And there's a question of whether he could show up. There's a better chance he could show up in Defenders as Defenders comes closer and closer. Like
wait. So I'm sorry. So they're shooting stuff with the Punisher now, and we don't know what that's going to be for.
Yeah, we don't know what that's for. We've seen John Bernthal as Frank Castle walking the streets and stuff. So people just assume that's the Punisher, and they are shooting the Punisher. That's official, but. They might be shooting some extra stuff too. That's a shot of it. That's.
I mean, I'm willing to bet it's for Defenders, but
I'm just saying it's up in the air. But anyway, getting back to this, let's talk about the Punisher though. Aside from the moment that we're just kind of swoops in at the end of the day, though, I love that Punisher he's moving forward. He's owning his choice that to be a monster on his own terms, like I said. That. Not only a monster on his own terms, but one that honors the castle name. And again, I love that as we read into a little bit last episode, just to kind of go over one more time, because now it actually happens when he's spray painting the skull on the bullet on the Kevlar vest. Again, it's honoring the castle name through a symbol of the castle tragedy with the skull X-ray, which is that's why he puts that skull on the vest there. It's like that's the symbol of when Frank Castle died, that's the symbol of when his family died. Right. So of course, I love they added more meaning to that symbol. By the way, that's really cool. And
it's not just like a random design of a shirt that is on bottom on vacation.
yeah. Don't get me wrong. The sun thing was okay, by the way. The whole
no, don't be wrong too. It was fine. It worked for me in that movie, but I do think this is
because the last thing his son gave him, of course, he's going to wear it when he goes doing it.
Right. But I think this is a lot more like symbolically significant, though.
Yeah. Yeah, and what I love here is that much like Daredevil, again, Punisher faces the truth too. He kind of fate conquers a fear. He visits home.
Yes, that's very much kind of like kind of the Punisher takes a little cue out of Matt's book of being the man without fear. You know what I mean? Kind of like a contrast in that way.
And I kind of like it's for a few reasons. You tell me if I'm reading into this here. I like to think that he's visiting his home to fuel the crusade in a way. It's like one last time he's going to visit the castle home one last time because he needs to collect some stuff too, which is not weapons per se, but he has to collect the micro disc, which we'll get to in Braille Trail. I'll tell you what that is. But,
okay.
The point is, he's visiting for that practical reason, and of course he's going to spray paint the vest while he's there. But again, I think he's fueling the crusade. Like one last time to kind of like he's conquering that fear again, visiting his family's home and just kind of seeing the place as Karen did that he didn't really have the guts to. But secondly, again, it's also fueling the anger, fueling the monster. He's reminding himself why he's doing this, why he's going to keep going.
Yeah, right.
And yeah, it's really good. Again, it's also making peace as Frank Castle, and he makes peace as Frank Castle. He lights the house on fire as closure as he leaves as the Punisher. It's like he's fully putting the name Castle and all the stuff with Frank Castle kind of at rest finally, so he can move on as kind of, again, he's moving forward. So I think we're going to be saying a lot, by the way, in another Netflix show, by the way, always forward. Going forward. He's going forward as a lot of stuff.
It's also something we'll say a lot if we ever cover Meet the Robinsons.
Yes. So again, he's leaving as the Punisher. There's no going back, only forward. Again, to quote a certain character in another Netflix show.
Okay.
All right, so that's really all I got for the Punisher. But still, really good stuff with the Punisher, though, right?
Yeah, like I say, he's used sparingly in the episode, but very, very good in terms of sewing all the dynamics up, sewing all the loose.
It's a really good epilogue for him. It's a really solid epilogue for him.
Okay, and I'm very anxious to find out what that disc is in the Braille Trail. So,
I found some new stuff that we're looking at, so I think you're going to really like it.
Okay, all right, so let's go to Karen then. Yeah, just like it's kind of funny. It's like you get what's his name, Ellison, right? And he's just like, you know what I'm gonna do, Karen? You know what I'm gonna buy you for Christmas? I'm just gonna buy you a Ben Urich mask, because that's what you are. You have just fully grown into the Ben Urich world. You are Ben Urich right now.
It's her big pair of glasses and kind of the shirt and the jacket and everything. But she drives his car already.
Right. Also, one of the things I love about Karen this episode is that she really gets in the line of fire. You know what I mean? It's like she really basically it's kind of funny, right? Because episode 1 of the whole series, she's in the line of fire, and we see how shattered and damaged she is by that and how scared she is by that. Now, by this episode, she's just kicking ass and taking hits and pulling no punches.
She's taking charge. She's standing right up to this. I believe the character's called Tyler, oddly enough. I want to say she's an original character because I couldn't find anything on her, but I could be wrong. It's the red-headed lady, the American lady who works for the Hand.
Oh, wonderful. So she's named after me. Awesome.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, every day where I looked at, that's her name. So again, it's kind of a weird one, but I don't Anyway, point is, you're right.
Like
Karen is taking.
By the way, it was just very stereotypical, like mean guard. It felt very I don't know. It just felt very half-baked in terms of just I've seen that character in a million different dramas and hostage situations,
Well, I'll tell you something though. If I'm kind of getting the vibe that if we see Elektra in the Defenders show, I think the way of working the Hand, and they're going to bring. I'm just suggesting that because Sigourney Weaver is going to be the big bad Defenders. We know that. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a female presence as kind of our villain side here. So if they bring back this lady from the Hand and. Technically Elektra. Well, obviously she's not.
Well, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Elektra is kind of. You're right though. With Elektra, is kind of a big figurehead of the Hand for sure.
Yeah, you know what I mean. The point is,
I
think there might be a kind of a heavy female presence with also maybe some familiar faces like Nuke here and there. Some familiar like Turk and Nuke and a few guys in the lower ranks. I think the females are going to be kind of the dominant ones for the Defenders show. It's kind of a vague guess I'm having in the moment here, but I'm just throwing it out there.
I mean, Sigourney Weaver having a tie to the Hand is definitely a good guess. Yeah, I see what you're from with that.
Anyway, let's see. With Karen, speaking of her being really good in the crisis situation, so I love this. And it's kind of a mixed thing here where I love this. Karen and Turk is again, hey, it's Turk Barrett. But at the same time, though, I kind of wish we recognized more people in the bus, though, because I think.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah,
it would have added to the stakes more. If we just saw a few people remember the guy with the dog and. Well, actually, no, that one wouldn't make any sense. But the people that Daredevil saved at the very beginning of the season, we saw those guys in the end. That'd be kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It goes a little something like this when Kieran bumps into Turk Barrett of all people, which is a fun interaction in itself, by the way. It goes a little something like this when she kind of uses Turk Barrett to her advantage, which Turk Barrett's constantly getting used, and he's just constantly getting.
Come on, D.
Yeah.
we're talking.
Classic Turk Barrett. You know, he's a little glimmer of hope, and then he screws it up.
You're right. I don't know, man.
And later on, he really
that is fun. It's just like that Tyler lady that just bothers me though, because it's just such a stock. Like, oh, quit talking. You're hostages. Meh. I don't know.
well. The thing kind of saves it for me. The one thing that kind of saves it for me with her a little bit is the way it just isn't as conventional as I like. That she ordinarily they do a thing of like she tough talks her, really kind of like hit the noisy the old man hostage, but no, she just shoots him point blank. Next one that makes a sound gets killed. Get it?
Yeah, that is a good point, and we'll get to that with Dare to Be Different. Actually, I was going to save that for that. But, yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's all good.
Anyway, I also Turk, you feel bad for him though. I was really terrified for Turk for a moment because two things.
Too. Yeah.
I was terrified of two things. One, of course, I never want Turk Barrett to get killed. I never want that for him because again, that's the running gag of Daredevil. He always also the Netflix shows. It seems like they always just shows up.
Well, let's hope he's not the Coulson.
That's the thing. I don't know. He's kind of a villain, so I think he might be safe because Marvel used to. I'm glad that Marvel finally adapted away from this. They used to have this horrible habit of like killing off their bad guys, and then they finally realized that's a terrible idea. We're going to keep them alive now.
Yeah, that used to really bug me with kind of superhero movies in general, for sure. Yeah. It also bugs me about like TV shows do that too. Like Dexter was really bad about that. Like how?
But to be fair, Dexter kind of had to kill him.
I don't necessarily think so. I mean, I don't want to go on a whole Dexter tangent, but I'm just saying like how awesome would it have been with Dexter if we had a villain that was developed throughout multiple seasons, much like I always make the argument for villains. Like it would be impossible to do Gus Fring in one season. It would be impossible. You can't do it. You can't do Gus Fring in one season. You can barely do Gus Fring in 2 seasons. You needed that to be a multi-season arc. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm getting off on a tangent here.
Okay, let's see. What was I getting at here? Oh yeah, with Turk Barrett again. After the whole fearing he was going to get killed because the hand doesn't mess around, and it's really scary for a moment. I was secondly worried for Turk Barrett because oh my god, when they realized I love Karen in the scene too, where basically they realize okay they've been tracked because of the little ankle bracelet he's wearing, the whole the house arrest thing. And then I love the panic of of Karen just trying to say no, it's a little button. You push a little button, and they're
right.
And then poor Turk Barrett. I mean, as much as the guy's kind of a human punching bag for Daredevil, he doesn't deserve this. He's about to get his leg cut off, and thankfully, before there's too much damage done, because he's walking around, so I assume he's going to be okay. But
yeah, right.
Basically, you got to imagine throughout the whole episode, he's in the hostage situation. Part of him has to be thinking to himself. Thankfully, he then shows up.
What's coming?
And luckily, again, before all everything, Daredevil swoops in and he saves everyone. So, in the end, it worked out.
It is very good timing on Daredevil's part, right?
Yeah.
And that one I won't even question, just because it's kind of like the John Lasseter Pixar thing. It's like, all right, I'm so into it, just have it.
They're real sadist about it. You can say, well, me doesn't really like Turk Barrett that much. He kind of took his time.
Oh God! All right, I'm just gonna wait till he gets stabbed in the leg, and then I'm gonna go. All right, I'm gonna time this out. Just give Turk a little pain.
It was like a little lesson for him.
It's like he's just waiting behind the window. He's like, I'm just gonna see how this plays out. Oh God, that's great. Anyways.
All right. Also, let's talk about the Ellison of it all here. So again, Karen, with Karen's arc beyond again being in the crisis mode here, again, she, I guess you want to touch on the whole, her kind of maybe suspecting Daredevil. I mean, there was a great moment where after when Daredevil swoops and saves everyone, they kind of the tooth and had a lingering moment because again,
that was like more or less to me like almost confirmation that she knew.
And again, the ending of the first season also suggested that again she might be on to it, but I think all the stuff that Matt put her through kind of threw her off the scent of that. I think, and I think it's that regardless, she didn't have faith in Matt as a hero, so she wouldn't have put the two together because she was like, oh god, like Matt Murdock's no hero. She couldn't really see him as Daredevil, and she was questioning Daredevil at the beginning of the season too. So again, it's kind of a weird It's so funny, Tiki. Again, the beginning of the season, she was questioning the actions of Daredevil.
Mm-hmm.
Then in the middle, of course, she had the whole switcheroo with the Punisher, and then she's like, she's on Daredevil's side. Yeah, maybe Daredevil should go a little further. And then, of course, then she's really peeved at Matt Murdock. So she just kind of, I think because of all that stuff, she completely separates the two of them. But however, that little moment there, it's kind of the feeling she has for Daredevil from the first season. And then secondly, why is he so familiar? I think it's in the back of her head.
Okay, I don't know. I still like they left it ambiguous, especially with the look that she gives and everything. But I see what you're saying. It's definitely like as the evidence kind of piles up.
Yeah, she could have put it.
She starts to.
Sorry.
Together.
Yeah. She could have. I don't know. Like you're right. There's some evidence she could have possibly, put it together. Like the whole, Matt has like the world's worst excuses. I mean, she's on to him at the beginning, but again, I think after she kind of divorces Matt out of her life, that's when she kind of is thrown off the scent. But you're right, though. It's a little ambiguous.
I mean, you would think that the Matt stuff would actually, like, if she put the pieces together, it would be like, Dragon, I'm sorry, I have to turn off my webcam for now because my internet is just like.
Yeah, you're kind of frozen at the moment. I was wondering if it was me, but
no, it's not you. It's not you. It's definitely me.
Look at Tiki all frozen and stuff.
Sorry, my internet glitched out.
Okay. So Karen, on the other hand, so basically Karen, she's transitioning for this episode from the Punisher story and the whole Punisher alliance and all that stuff that was going on here. And
go out and come back in. You just keep.
All right, I'll go through. All right. Let's see. So basically, we went through all the kind of Karen Daredevil stuff there and the whole kind of identity stuff. So basically, just overall here, just get to the Elson of it all. So basically, this whole episode, she's kind of transitioning from the Punisher story and the whole alliance with the Punisher to get closure for him and his family, which we already kind of, again, she's kind of moving on with her life. Again, kind of the theme here, she's moving on, and she's still kind of a protector of the truth in a way. Again, that's why she's such a good reporter. She likes seeking out the truth, and I love that Ellison really brings it out in her at the end of the day here. It's really what she does. She's basically, Ellison gives her the interesting task of kind of summarizing the lesson of the season and kind of this really eloquent article, sure, that's what we'll get to in Dare to Be Different, but goes a little something like this, the way she, this really nice scene between her and Ellison, which I'll get to Ellison at the end of it here, so it goes a little something like this.
If you really want to torture yourself this holiday, go ahead, I guess, but at least write something new, something different, something only you. You know what? The truth. Your truth. All of it. Everything that you've been through. Don't pull any punches. This is New York. People think that they've seen everything. Prove them wrong. Tell them something. Hell, I read the shit out of that. Just in case. I'll expect 2,000 words anyway. That's before Santa shows up.
Let me get to kind of Karen at the end of this season with those two moments there, because one, of course, the main arc that she accepted in the last episode, she's become the new Ben Urich, and with that, I think there's this wonderful line, there's this wonderful moment of just kind of full acceptance that we get to see on Ellison for a change, because we see it on Karen kind of coming to grips with that. It was a really sweet, subtle moment where after she says, "You got it, boss," in Ben's office, Ellison on the way out, he kind of stops. And he kind of processes it. It's a really sweet moment of just realizing, again, it really catches him emotionally. Like, not only does he care for this girl, but in a way, yeah, he's succeeded in getting Ben back. He can kind of Ben for the next generation back. It's a really touching moment. Let's see, just with Karen again. So again, by the end of the season, she's ready to move forward in this new path. She's hit really a nice niche, a really kind of nice sweet spot with it all. And the minute she does that, I love that ultimately, at the end of the day, much like with the kind of the Ellison moment, she's rewarded for all the stuff she went through. You know, she's rewarded with the thing she's been searching for the whole season. The thing her whole character has been searching for since the very beginning of the show. She was framed. Well, technically,
I'm sorry. I just saw the pieces being lined up for that one. Go ahead.
No, seriously, I think ever since the very beginning, because, you know, she was framed and basically a lie was put upon her. So ever since the beginning, she's always, the reason she gravitates towards Nelson and Murdoch is the same thing she's kind of rewarded with at the end of this season. The truth. Again, the truth from Matt. So I think she's always been seeking that, and she is rewarded with that for all the crap she's been through this season ever since the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
yeah.
It's
I'm sorry, I'm just kind of coming back
truth,
into it, so.
Yeah, also, let me ask, I don't know if I want to go through this, but Allison's line, the whole like, happy Hanukkah, do you think it was just joking Hanukkah, or do you think Karen's actually Jewish?
I think Ellison's Jewish.
Oh.
Yeah.
I never thought of that one.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, well, let me say, because he said happy. I know, it's fine. Remember, he did read up on her, so he would know that. So it's kind of interesting. I don't know. I never thought of it.
I mean, I definitely think that Ellison kind of like, I mean, I don't want to like profile, obviously, but he looks Jewish. I don't know. I that was the way I read it to that moment.
No. I just never really. Yeah, either way.
Yeah.
It was a little fun thing. I've been second watch. I completely forgot about the Hanukkah thing until the rewatch. It's like, oh, hey, I wonder, who's that for? What is that implying?
I think it's because he's Jewish, but I could.
Or it could be again. It could be a joke of like, you know, she doesn't really decorate in the office there, so like, hey, here's just the decorations.
Right.
I don't know. Either way, so let's move on from Karen. That kind of sums it. Again, she receives truth at the end, and kind of her reward for the whole season. Moving on to the Stick Man.
The Stick Man. Well, god damn it, I'm just kind of tied to a chair this whole episode. I don't really have much of an arc, do I?
Oh, no. Stick, not only does he do something really awesome, which we'll get to, but let's talk about kind of Stick at the end of the season here, Tiki. So when he's standing in front of that grave, how far do you think he's come along?
Well, I definitely like that him and Matt are finally kind of like on the same page in that moment. You know what I mean? Because for the longest time throughout the whole course of the show, we've basically seen Stick being like, Matt, you need to stop being so soft, you know? And I really do think by the end, especially with you know, with the murder of Ellie and everything, it's like, you know, and Daredevil kind of like silently poses the question, like, yeah, like Stick asked, like, was it worth it? Matt should probably be asking Stick the same thing. Like, was it worth it to go after her? Are you happy she's dead now? You know what I mean?
Yeah. It goes a little, one second, I think it goes something like this. Well, let me play this real quick just to cover the Karen thing. I mean to take us off, so I just want to make sure I got this here. When Karen's moment where she gets the truth. I gotta tell you, it's a satisfying moment, by the way. Just, you know, it's really cool when he gets to say that to her.
Yeah, I also like how it gets built up, how he's like, you know, carrying the paper bag. And then I also love I'm sorry, Dragon. You know, Monkey's a dear friend of mine. And I know I know his family celebrates Hanukkah very dearly. So I love the Jewish family in the window lighting the menorah. That just warms my heart that they included that. Anyways.
Yeah, so yeah, with Stick here, basically from the very beginning when he's tied to the chair, I just want to mention you, Stick knows that they're doomed. And in the end, he kind of dispatches with the bad guy thanklessly, and it's so kind of fun about that too. I love that it's kind of like a moment where no one's gonna know, and he's kind of, I'll do it.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
It's like the janitor sweeping up, like, well, it's,
and I also like how he walks away, and like there's police chatter and everything, but he just kind of blends into the crowd.
Yeah, it's a really great moment. Which, again, we'll get to the specifics of that soon. But
sorry, back to what I was saying though. Don't you agree that like it's come to a point where like I really do feel like Stick is he's got to be like, well, now that I've been through all this, yeah, it's kind of a shame that she's dead.
It sounds a little something like this, by the way. So yeah.
God rest her soul. Or should be enough. Once it called the water roses. Was it worth it? What? Over here. Taught me to cut off my ties to keep other people. I had only a few moments with her. It's the noise, chaos, and the violence. We were together only for moments. That was all. Orchids. She likes orchids. And yes, Nick, it was worth it. Man, you are a tough son of a bitch I have ever married.
I think it's one of the best Stick scenes we've had, by the way. It's a really great scene, the two of them at the cemetery.
Sure.
Yeah, it's like it's like Stick envies the chance that Matt took, and with letting Electra in, and it's the opportunity that Stick missed out on. And it's also kind of sad for Stick at the end here, because he's burying his daughter. He's burying the daughter that he failed. In the
and
end.
Of course, we just saw kind of the flashbacks in episode 12, and that's kind of fresh in our mind. So adds weight to that.
Yeah, and again, she tried everything he could to avoid this war, in part because he wanted to avoid this girl's death. Because again, if he couldn't protect her, then she's going to have to die, and it's kind of that predestined thing I was talking about. Again, it's in the end he failed her on a few levels, and in the end, though, again, I love that in these moments we get the kind of chip, get under Stick's skin in a way, where it's like he is proud of his kids in the end. He's kind of proud that they saved the day in the end there. Like he's proud of Matt with that whole the toughest SOB I know. Again, that's the closest you'll get to like a pat on the back or like an I love you moment from Stick. It's like, you're the toughest guy I know. And it's them coming together. And basically I get a sense in terms of where Stick's going here. It's like he's kind of taking a respite. He views this this funeral here and just kind of burying Ellie here as kind of a respite from the war, and this is kind of his bittersweet victory of like, well, the war's been averted, and Black Sky's gone, so it's kind of a twofer. So it's but again, as we said, just to kind of harken back to it from again, it's the way Scott Glenn communicates that whole like, was it worth it? Just like that opportunity, like you did what I couldn't, kid, and I really respect that. And I just kind of wonder, had I made that choice way back in the day, knowing it's going to end in disaster, is it worth it? He can only ask Matt Murdock that, and it's like the perfect emotional scene in a way. It's like emotion without withholding everything back in a way. Like they're really restrained in how much they can show, but it's all communicated through kind of through the dialogue,
Yeah. Okay. Dragon, I don't have the list of arcs and dynamics and stuff in front of me because I had to go out, so you'll have to like transition us on that. I'm sorry.
So I hope you get the outro before we get there.
Yeah, I'll get the outro. Yeah.
Good. Okay, we got to go to Karen and Foggy with our.
Karen and Foggy with our. I'm sorry, I wasn't sure if we had another arc or not. With our daring dynamics. Come on, D. This time I get to say that.
Yeah.
So Karen and Foggy, my God, Dragon, that Josie scene really does just say it all, right?
Oh yeah.
Which I mean, ironically, it's pretty much the one time they're in the scene together. Besides, like, hey, you're here. It's crazy, right?
Well, technically, I think the Foggy does show up later on, so they have 2 scenes together. But he's
Well,
more
that's
like
what I'm saying. That's
cowering
what I'm saying. He shows up like at the end as as the final confrontation is going on, but it's basically just like, hey, you're here. This is crazy. Yeah. I know, right?
Oh my God, Punisher's bullet stuck.
So anyway,
I've been shot by that guy. Maybe technically no, but
yeah, the Josie scene is just perfect though. It's just perfect in terms of like you said, Drag, you made the good point of like they're both leveling up in life. You can tell that Karen still, she has a little bit of a mix of bitterness and sadness for what happened with Matt. And again, I'm still putting it on the table that she might be reflecting on like Matt being Daredevil and everything, and like, well, yeah, Matt being Daredevil, like there's definitely no way we're going back to Nelson and Murdoch after that. It's like the dream is squandered. But it's like. And I don't know, Drag. I still want. What's this shit? Foggy Bear. I still want Foggy Bear to happen.
It's Care Bear.
Care Bear. I'm sorry, Care Bear.
Again, almost purely for the shipping name, do I want Claire Temple and Foggy Nelson to make Claire Bear.
Claire Bear.
Just for the heroes reference alone, just for the heroes reference.
No, but seriously,
again,
like,
this show always pairs people together.
Yeah, I'm going to be rooting for. I'm going to be rooting for these 2 cute kids to get together. But as it stands now, I like that they're on the same wavelength. They're very good friends. I feel like they're gonna lean on each other in season 2. Like much more so, maybe even than or in season 3. I mean, yeah.
Well, definitely. The next, they're both going to be in Defenders Tees. We'll definitely see them We're going to pick up with them there.
Well, yeah, but I'm not sure if I think when they're in Defenders, they'll probably more or less be like maybe. I'm just saying, I'm not sure if they're going to have like a full season arc in Defenders.
I'm just dying for a scene with Karen Page and Luke Cage. I'm just dying for that.
Anyways,
but yeah, I see you're saying. It goes a little something like it's a really heartbreaking scene at the end. There has such finality.
I mean, it's heartbreaking, but at the same time, it's just like, yeah, that's how it should be.
Yeah, it's like they're still great friends, but they're moving on. And even I even think Josie's a little bummed out too.
I bet she is. Because
again, she likes those Nelson Murdoch guys, and it's like, oh well, again, as much she like grills him and like makes bartender chatter with him. It's like, those. It's like he scoffs at the idea of them closing their tab because these guys are the ultimate regulars.
Sure.
It's so sad when it's that sound. I don't have it in the clip here, but basically when she clicks she's bringing them up. It's like, oh, it's such a sad sound that we get cut from the outside Josies. This might be last.
Yeah.
It goes a little something like this. Oh, get your inside out tissues ready because it's so sad. Isn't that right, Norm? It's so sad.
Okay. Enough with the Norman Electra stuff. I get it.
But we're pals.
Oh God.
You and Matt. Jesse's actually felt like home.
I know. Very sticky floors and belligerent drunks nightly. No less. No Nelson or no Page. We may not be working together anymore. here.
I tell you, that last line really gets me every time. Like that whole, we're done here. That it's so final. It's so realistically final and sad.
Yeah, yeah, and you can just see it on Josie's face too. You know, she's just like, really?
She hides it well, but yeah, she hides it well. But you know what? Deep down, she loves those Nelson and Murdoch boys.
For sure, for sure. Okay then. Okay, I do not have the next arc, so.
Yes, the next one would be Daredevil and Brett Mahoney.
I'm sorry, I really wish I would have thought to copy and paste all that stuff before.
I would have liked you to do that too, but we.
I know you would have. I know. You know, foresight is the gift of the beholder and whatnot. I don't know. Is that a thing? Is that a saying? Anyways, so yeah,
Probably
Mr.
not.
James Gordon. I mean Brett.
Okay, yeah, but this really great kind of very Batman Begins-esque staging of you know. I love that. It's very original too. I love it's like we don't really see this sort of framing. Obviously, there's no Daredevil, so there's no two D's in the sky. Exactly.
Right.
But I love that there's this great little subtle signal that lures Mahoney outside just to say, "Hey, Daredevil's here." Where basically the door's like clicking and you know, like he's kind of leaned the door open. Mahoney goes over, and they have a very Gordon Batman scene, very much like when Batman drops by Gordon's house in Batman Begins, because it's kind of like he's higher than he is in the scene, like he's like an upper level, and he's looking up to him, kind of. It's like he's like a fire escape or something.
Sure.
Anyway, but yeah, I mean, basically Brett here, he is. He's in over his head, and he's not afraid to admit it, which, again, Matt this season has been kind of dodgy of doing that. He's very truthful. Again, keyword truth with our arcs and our kind of our dynamics here. And, again, he's very frustrated with the situation, but he's glad Daredevil's here. As frustrated as he is, because, again, this one directly is kind of someone targeting Daredevil, very specifically, and he got beat up for it.
Yeah, I mean, not only that, but I love how it's like, yeah, getting beat up is part of the job, but my mom, man, you know, the same mother that dear old Foggy Nelson buys cigarettes for, you know, buys cigars for, you know.
Cigars,
so it's like, so we already have kind of an emotional investment in this character, even though we've never seen her on screen, as far as I can remember.
Yeah.
You know?
You're right, we haven't seen her on screen.
Just making sure.
Mentioned passing. But I do love that comes back, though. We remember, that was a running gag in the first season. The good old
it was
Brett's
literally
mom.
like, that was actually one of the first jokes we ever saw Foggy Nelson tell, if I remember correctly, was the whole cigar thing with Brett. Yeah, so that goes back to like the very, very roots of the whole series.
I remember we like this. We like Brett Mahoney. He's always been a nice stand-up guy.
Yeah,
we don't want anything bad to befall Brett Mahoney, which is why we're very lucky that he wasn't in that scene in Jessica Jones. He just heard about it.
Yes.
He mentioned it, but he wasn't in that scene, thankfully.
That might have been my confusion. Yeah, you're right. Anyways.
Anyway, goes a little something like this, and we'll move on. Because there's not really much more to say. It's like kind of he's realizing, I need Daryl. I don't really appreciate
just want to acknowledge the Gordon of it all, right?
and again, to be fair, just to kind of establish that before we move, just to kind of go over the whole season here. Again, he's becoming more and more kind of like a Gordon Batman thing here, but we're still at the point where he's accepting the help of Daredevil, but he's still really. He's accepting help because, again, much like Jim Gordon, he's smart enough to realize that he needs it instead of like, oh, no, he's not in denial. But he is smart in that he's not fully seeing the value, like the full value of Daredevil. Like, this is absolutely why we need him. But no, he's the reason for this mess, so we need him. That's kind of where he's at right now. It goes a little something like this.
So, this is what it's come to. The past vigilante's the only one I can trust. What happened? It was just a matter of time till he showed up. Again. Barry, you just told me, detective. First time something. Asshole roughs me up. The job, this shit ain't easy. And then they said they got eyes on my mom.
I tell you, for a moment, just for my own vanity, I'd like to think that just when he hears like someone big, someone powerful, I'd like to think that for a moment he considers it's Fisk. Just for me, just my own vanity.
I can see that. Yeah.
Because again, that's going to be looming for season 3. Fisk, this is going to be the big bad guy of season 3 if they go the route I'm very convinced they are going. All right, let's see. Next one would be just we kind of streamline some stuff, just putting it together here. Would be well, Matt and Karen briefly. We'll do Matt and Karen very briefly.
Okay.
Just
yeah, I mean, I said most of what I want to say with the whole like ambiguity of what Karen knows and what she doesn't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And again, basically, it's like right before Karen moves on completely. You know, Matt pulls her back in very much like every time I'm out, they pull me back in.
I mean, it's pretty much a mix of that and like of all the law firms and all the cities and all the world, he had to walk into mine. Like, it's ironic. She's like the Bogart in this situation.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, and again, it's like he lures her back with the truth. So it's kind of again, it's the one thing he should have been doing the whole. It's the one action you really need to do to move forward in the season. He does it at the last minute.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's unfortunately, I think I kind of regret bringing up Matt and Karen now because again, we jumbled some ideas around before.
That's all good. That's all good.
Hey, let's just move on to Matt and Electra. That's where a lot of the meat is. Kind of the best for last year. Again, Matt and Electra, of course, a lot of huge stuff in there.
Okay, yeah, like I said, like I hate to like directly bring up Geekvolution a lot because we love those guys. They do a lot of good work, but sometimes their opinions don't really gel with ours. And I remember watching the spoiler cast for this, and them kind of like going on and almost derailing the conversation about how much they don't buy Matt and Electra getting together at the end and that whole thing. And I just say I strongly disagree with that because I really do. And it's not just Geekvolution who says it. It's like a common sentiment. I strongly get like I actually really think Matt and Daredevil are. I did it again. Daredevil and Electra, because Matt and Daredevil are constantly at odds with themselves. You see, but Daredevil and Electra, but Daredevil and Electra, it's been a great build-up. It's almost been like a Bogart Casablanca-esque build-up. It's like we had the, like Matt basically like hated Electra and didn't want to see her at all when we first started. We did kind of have that genuine trust build-up, and Electra went from like essentially like kind of like a nuisance, like a playful nuisance to really. I love how it's kind of like they have that burden that they share with each other, that they both were kind of born into things that they don't really want, but they kind of have to fulfill. And, like we said, we've kind of discussed the whole running away together thing and the semantics of that and everything like that. But my God, if it's not a romantic moment, Dragon, even if it's kind of like,
well, it's the definition of romance. Again, romantic being someone who hopes things will change. Again, this is them contemplating a big change together. They're very romantic in the face of the end. Again, this is what we know them for from this flashbacks, and they're oh my God, Dig, again, this is beautiful. And that I think we talked about this when it happened, but just in case we haven't yet, we got to mention here that of course, in their last moments here, they're recapturing a huge turning point in their lives in that flashback where they plan their future in the flashback.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's a really good point.
And that's when their relationship turns south. Also, and again, something we brought up in the episode, that whole episode is kind of predicated on history repeating itself and then being kind of bad for each other. And here again, it has a positive spin on it, but it's still ultimately things turn out bad for them.
And it may or may not be having to do directly with that conversation and them getting together, as we kind of broke down.
Yeah. And again, I think together, they're both trying to avoid their destinies in a way. But again, it's just because of that, it's not in the cards. They can't. There's some things they just can't avoid, whether it's destiny or just something in their personality. So again, Matt Murdock, in the end, the Daredevil we're presented with in this show, kind of the guy who's going to be still doesn't have that morality, just can't mix with someone who in their DNA is going to be kind of a killer spiraling in darkness. However, they make it buy into it because these two, again, they balance each other out for that reason. They love each other. These two guys, she makes there's this great line he has, and I have to play the thing for you. Just kind of,
and really quick, I love the argument about you know, even if he does come clean to Karen, I don't necessarily think Karen's going to be as open about this. Like, again, it's left ambiguous, but I really do think that at the end of the day, Elektra truly is the person that he could be himself around the most out of anyone, including Karen. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He very much is a big loss. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, because, you know, Elektra is his other half. Again, they need each other to balance each other out and kind of reach a happy middle. She, as it said, kind of the thing here, it said he feels alive when he's with her. Again, she makes his vigilant. Again, she makes kind of the guy who's seeking justice not so grim about it. She makes him have fun with it. Again, it's kind of a Catwoman Talia al Ghul thing. Again, they're kind of made for each other, like Talia and Bruce. At the same time, that has like the thrill of the chase and everything. Like, hey, enjoy what you're doing, like Catwoman. Again, it's kind of a mixture in there. Only goes really dark against the Talia al Ghul territory with kind of the killing thing. And again, it boils into that tragedy of her demise. But again, she went out as a good guy, so they reached the meme. So again, they kind of reached the closest thing to happiness they will get. They were that close. They're planning a future, but they didn't go out on different. Basically, they didn't go out on, like, they weren't arguing when they went out. They went out like they both were.
And it kind of goes down to that whole moments thing that Matt has with Stick as well. You know what I mean? It was a moment.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly. Again, like moments they've had this season, of course, was like when they're noticing each other's wounds and scars, and then of course, there's that. There's the flashbacks of planning their future, and of course, there's here when they're planning their future, and of course, when Elektra's injured in bed. Again, all that sort of all those moments are showing, like, yes, they. Again, she's put on this earth for Matt Murdock in a way, and again, brought to him by Stick most appropriately. Again, big pillar in his life. So again, they're very, very intertwined here. It goes with something like this. Again, I think is that the scene's so excellent. Again, this would be. I think they're both giving really good performances here. I edited it slightly, so again, just 2 minutes of it. Let's just say 2 minutes of romantic. It goes with something like this. Really good scene. Three things. Just one, I love the again that line of the I'm the black sky, Matthew, and I'm the devil of Hell's Kitchen. It's a wonderful light moment in the midst of all this, really finality amongst the conversation. Secondly, I love that again. It feels very Hell's Kitchen where it's said here that hey, getting out of here, getting out of the city is like it's a cab fare away. It's a cab right away. and it feels like, again, like we're boiling it down to those kind of Wilson Fisk, Matt Murdock terms, like they're kids of Hell's Kitchen, where basically if you can survive the bullies, the bullies trying to beat you up here, you can get out of here, you can go forward to the next day.
Oh, shoot, hold on. There's going to be an sorry. Darn headphones unplugging. Go ahead.
Well, did you hear what I said? Or
Yeah. Sorry.
And thirdly, oh yeah, right. This kind of occurred to me as things going on. I want to bring this up before we move on. Tell me if this sounds crazy, Tiki. I think there's a message here with the way things turned out with Matt and Elektra. Is that Matt and Elektra? I'm not saying it's a fling, but I'm saying again, whether it's your first love or the first, I think their relationship is a beautiful thing. It's a passionate thing, but it's an impermanent thing. And I think the message is, of course, that has no future. That's good in the moment. That makes you who you are. It defines you. Again, basically, they brought out the best in each other. Again, they both were very needed to get to the places they needed to go. She became very close to a good guy. He again kind of realized, he has to accept both sides of himself, even the darker parts and all that stuff. However, and you get the Karen Page. Karen Page is kind of like, Electra's like the girlfriend, and Karen Page is the girl you marry.
yeah, I can see that. But Elektra,
you see what I mean? It's like
she's not just a girlfriend; she's like the first love. You know what I mean? She's like the first passion.
Yeah, that's what I mean, though. Again, it's like the very first impactful relationship versus kind of the girl you ultimately marry, the one who's good for you.
Right. But I mean, I do think that her and Matt did bring out good things in each other at the time.
They did. Then again, not saying it's a very good relationship. I'm just saying, and there's a reason. I think thematically they're saying it's not in the cards for kind of maybe those reasons. Of like, again, she's important, but again, it's like it's something that it'll only grow you. It won't. It's like it'll be a mirage anything past that moment.
Sure. I hear you. Okay.
Because again, you're chasing a feeling, and that feeling you can't build a foundation on. Sort of. Anyway. Okay. Next, we're going.
Run a little bit long on this, but let's ask the daring question of how this episode dared to be different. All right, so first of all, oh my God, just that execution of that guy, just point blank, like just shooting that one guy in the forehead who's defending Karen. Brutal, fucking brutal.
Very brutal, yes. And it's like you're not taking no prison. Well, technically they are taking. You know what I mean? It's like hey, no messing around here. Any sound. Dead. And it just shows you that how
elevate this Tyler character, if that is in fact her name.
Yes, and of course, it just makes Karen all the more brave because then she keeps making sounds after she's told not to make sounds. Karen Page, she's gutsy.
Of course. I really like the cold open kind of being the very last image we see in the season. That was a bold choice.
Yes. Again, I love the themes of moving forward, the truth, and home. Those are kind of, to me, like the three big themes of the episode. Going home, of course, literally with the Punisher. Truth, very much with Karen and Matt, and kind of moving forward with everyone else.
Mm-hmm. I would say the Christmas thing was a different choice.
We finally got Christmas. Finally got Christmas in a Netflix show. I love I think you might have already mentioned this, but this one, double check here. We start in summer and then we end in winter.
Right. Yeah, I didn't mention that. That's a good point.
Yeah. Let's see. I love the very well directed episode. We get some really excellent shots. I think one of my favorites is the Punisher at the family table shot. That's an excellent. That's a beautiful shot.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Again, great fight choreography.
As always. Sure.
As always.
I wish the enemies were a little more interesting and less interchangeable, but whatnot. We've already been over that.
Okay, again, we really gritty and callous violence of the hand, especially with Turk. Again, like they're about, okay, guys a wrist, cut his leg off.
Sure.
Let's see. So rarely do we see, and this is why I'm a little mixed in the whole bus thing, because rarely do we see villains this capable of kidnapping.
Yeah, it's like they very much do. It's just a whole busload of people all in the span of a few hours. Just very convenient.
Yeah, and you see what I mean though. I say it's rarely done because again, it's kind of like very small points to the hand for like they're able to. It's kind of scary that they're able to do that. They're able to like round up those people, but at the same time, it looks really campy. At the same time, it's like kind of campy. Like okay, you're rounding up all the people Daredevil saved. Yeah.
Like you said, like if they're gonna go that gimmick, it's a fucking wasted opportunity to not literally like round up all the cast members of the characters that Daredevil has saved. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like I mean, Claire should be on that bus technically.
Yes.
But then again, she left town, so that's why she's not on the bus. You know what I mean? But yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what? If the hand is this capable, then they can fucking track her down, man. She's not that far away.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, see what I mean? Again, they're basically showing the hand's ability.
I mean, she's with her mom, for God's sakes. That can't be that hard to find.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? They're showing the hand's ability, which again, that's why the bus thing is kind of impressive, and you don't see it every day. But at the same time, though, again, it's a little silly. So it's kind of a mixed bag. Okay, let's see. I love the realistic discussion in the final moments, you know, before they're on the roof, as the scene we just played, you know, when they're kind of like talking about that fanciful life they would like to have. And it's like a realistic discussion of like, it feels very real to me. If you think you're going to die, you're going to have like a good go out, like think about like a happy thought before you go, you know.
Sure.
Let's see. Feels so. It feels so final to the show we loved in season 1. You know, it's like we're growing as a show. It's growing as a show as we grow with it, as we the audience grow with it. It feels very like final. Like yeah, the show you knew in season 1 is like we're evolving to something new here going forward. Did you get that at all?
No, I definitely got that. Like we said, especially with Karen and Foggy moving up, and the status quo has very much changed for sure.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like season 3 there was going to be like new ball game in a way.
Hopefully better than Arrow season 3.
Well, yeah, very. I'm
sorry.
I'm
sorry.
That's Tiki, I'm convinced it's going to be far better than Arrow season 3.
Okay.
Especially if they go the route, I'm convinced they're going to. It could be the best season, honestly, if they go the route I think they're going in. But,
I very much do think.
Basically, it could be like kind of how Breaking Bad kind of reaches their, you know, like pardon me, my go-to is like 3 for Breaking Bad, but a lot of people go like 4 for some reason. But well, it doesn't matter.
I like how you and I are on the same page. That season 4, it's really good. Maybe slightly overrated. I agree that season 3 is a little better.
4 is. I like it when things are going well for Walter White. Sue me, all right. I like it when things are going. No. Hey, I like the second half of 5, and I still like the first half. I think it's all good. I'm for my point. I'm saying second half and the 3rd season are all things good happening to Walter White. That's all I'm saying. Well, you know, until Ozymandias, but that's a different bag. Anyway, let's see. Again, feels final. Christmas setting. Well, I like that setting around Christmas without a lot of discussion.
Well, yeah, and that is a very Shane Black thing for sure.
Well, let me play this. I love Karen's. I think it's really well written. Kind of Karen summarizing kind of what happened to her in the season with her article and how it's played over. It's a really nice sequence.
Mm-hmm.
And ordinarily, like a lot of people just kind of try to do this, like, hey, we need something final. But this one felt earned. You know, it didn't feel like kind of forced.
It did, and I also kind of felt like it was a secondhand sort of like hinting at if Karen knows who Daredevil is or not. Because part of me feels like it's like a direct, it's kind of directly calling Matt out. Part of me thinks that.
It reminds me a lot of, oddly enough, the other Ben Urich from the Daredevil movie when he was typing it, the whole summation at the end there, and he deleted it.
That's true.
Yeah, it goes a little something like this. Really nice scene.
What is it to be a hero? Look in the mirror and you'll know. Look into your own eyes and tell me you're not heroic. That you've not endured or suffered things you care about most. And yet, here you are, the survivor of Hell's Kitchen. Hottest place anyone's ever known.
And again, you see what I mean about the home theme too, because again, at the end, he's welcomed back to the offices of Nelson and Murdoch again. He can't leave, so he's making home the best he can. But the fact he couldn't have that fantasy life of lecture, so he's re-rooting himself to Hell's Kitchen.
Mm. Yeah.
Let's see. Real quick, my last points to hit here before we move on, because I don't want to go too long with it either. But I brought this up briefly. I'm just going to quickly go through. Is that I love that in the end. These are kind of like full season sort of things. So in the end, I like that Matt somewhat proved Fisk wrong, because he made a difference that saved the city by reaching Punisher and Elektra, of course. But it wasn't just one man. It was it was also Foggy and Karen and Brett that reached those two characters that ultimately saved the city from the hands. So again, it's important.
Mm.
I mentioned that Daredevil was a coward at the start of the season. He was in denial. He was accused of this by the Punisher. Not telling Karen, the truth about who he is, not letting people get closer to him, and letting people get closer. And by the end, he becomes officially the man without fear, as he should always be. And last thing I got here is I love that the season overall kind of addresses. I don't know if you picked up on this. I think the season addresses the danger of. It's kind of a meta thing. It addresses the danger of stagnation and encourages moving forward. And basically, it's kind of a sequel thing of like, we could just give you exactly what you love from the first season. Just hey, we pulled these guys in the comics and just they were all fighting guys.
Fisk is out of prison, just pulling strings again. It's just basically
exactly.
a reset.
So like, hey, we put Fisk in prison. Let's just get him out of there immediately because he has good
right.
Right.
Which I got to admit,
exactly.
It took some guts to do. It took some guts to only include D'Onofrio in 2 episodes, basically. You know what I mean?
Yes, I mean overall, it's kind of the last there be different for this season. Again, that's pretty impressive, right? They just they didn't pull like a bad sequel card. They picked a great sequel.
I mean, in a way, like as much as we're kind of divided about Nobu being the main villain, it's like really this season doesn't really have a main villain. You know what I mean? It really doesn't.
I like that Matt is kind of the villain of his own season. He's getting in his own way.
Well, I mean, he's not the villain, but I see what you're getting.
I mean, he is his own villain, is what I'm saying.
Anti-Murdoch. I'm sorry.
I'm saying technically Tony Stark's the villain of Age of Ultron. You know what I mean? It's kind of. I'm just saying it's it's not an unfamiliar Marvel concept to have an internal villain being yourself.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
Point is, gutsy move really paid off really well. Okay, so let's move on to our next segment, which includes the little glasses.
The paper sunglasses for the blinding moment of awesome.
It looks like he has a confused emoji face. Look at him already.
I'm just going to hold this up to my face the rest of the podcast. No, I'm not.
He looks all befuddled. Look at the one eye. It looks like a unibrow that is actually the connecting sunglass parts. It's so adorable. Matthew, I want one, but I can't because I'm dead.
Oh, God.
But I'll be back because I'm going to take a blood bath all splishy, splashy, nice and clean. Which is true. She is going to take a blood bath to get back to life. You know that, right?
And she's going to love that.
It just occurred to me that all these blood splishy, splashy jokes in the make actually, it just occurred to me in the moment, by the way, that actually, that we were unintentionally building to something with that, folks.
Oh, God.
So and the reason we bring that up now is because now we're on Brill.
No, we're not on Braille.
Stupid. Oh, I feel so stupid. We're going so long on this.
I've done dumber things in the past. Don't worry about it.
Yes, you have. Okay, so you
want me to take my moment really quick just because it's going to go by in a flash?
Yeah, sure, but build it up. I got to find it because we're...
Okay, so folks, Stick, you love Stick, and he's tied to a chair for most of the episode, and then at the end of the day, I kind of feel like we already kind of went over this, unfortunately, but I'll just reiterate how cool it is. It's like we see Nobu Dragon. It's very much kind of like one of those things, like it almost like it's not exactly the same thing, but it almost kind of has the same punch as the end of like Gus Fring. Where it's like, we see Nobu, right? And we see that he's still alive, and we're just like, oh, son of a bitch, this guy is just not going to die. And that's like, oh, no, wait, yes, he is. And there's a way we're going to, like, ensure that he stays dead as well.
Yeah, I know you haven't seen it, Tiga. Basically, there's a fun post-credit thing at the end of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that is pretty much this, but with different characters. It's really fun. Anyway, here, I have it now. It goes a little something like this. Decapitation. Really cool. Again, I love just the I love the build with Nobu's coming back with the music. It's really awesome. It's like, it's like this thing. And by the way, that kind of still bugs me. Again, I don't want to kind of nitpick here. I wish he. The way Matt dispatches of Nobu, it always bugs me because again, that one looks like a kill. But the other one was like it wasn't as tall a place when we threw him off in the first place.
Sure.
He threw him off of a roof. So
Right.
this one was like, yeah, it's kind of a kill, and he kind of knows Nobu. Then again, Nobu's kind of unkillable, but at this height, he doesn't quite. I don't know. It's a minor thing. Here we go. Here's my moment.
Not big of a deal to kill Nobu either, because it's like the guy is kind of an indestructible like killing machine, and it's kind of a greater good kind of thing at that point.
Yeah, that's pretty much unkillable unless, of course, you do the main thing that would kill someone with a healing factor or an immortality of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
So let me go through some of mine real quick. Thankfully, I found it. So, of course, I'm a big gadget guy, one of my favorite characters.
And that's exactly why I knew you would never let me have this.
No, I wouldn't. I would beat you with the Billy Club. Speaking of Billy Club, it's... I love Melvin Potter as a character. I love everything about him. In the future, he will become the Gladiator, and they've been building that. But one of the great things, and one of my favorite things about Daredevil, I love that Billy Club, and then, of course, it's a grappling gun, which is, of all gadgets, especially coming from Batman, my favorite gadget ever is a grappling gun.
Yeah.
So I tell you, this is a really sweet moment. But again, as much as I love it just for the fact he got the Billy Club, because again, we've had Billy Clubs before. We just the metal things he throws at people, he hits them, used against fists. I was perfectly fine with that. Again, it doesn't need to be exactly like the comic and everything, but we got one that is exactly like the comic.
Great.
Even better than the one that was in the Affleck movie, because that one was pretty accurate. That one was cool and accurate. However, it did have a major design flaw.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it was kind of from the comic, kind of was. It doesn't matter. My point is they made it better and they made it more Netflixy in this. And the thing I really like, the reason it actually is a blind mode also, the reason I was kind of hesitating on it, because it's a really great character bit between Matt and Melvin, because I love that essentially Melvin gives him Christmas present here. It's really sweet. It's really nice. And I love that Melvin's so on Daredevil's side. Like the one guy who's always going to be in Daredevil's camp, again, unless something bad happens in season 3.
Oh, God.
I tell you, I could plot out season, refrain from that. But the point is, it's a really nice moment. It's just it gives him a Christmas gift. It moves Daredevil forward. It also cements the trust and friendship they have. So again, it's like Melvin kind of ushering Daredevil forward with this item in a way. So again, he's slowly moving him forward as he's contemplating the episode. It's also really story intertwined to it. It's a really excellent moment. Goes a little something like this. He's so joyous. He has this big smile. He brings it to him too. It's all nice and friendly.
Billy Club. Like the cop shoes, only like 1,000,000 times cooler as my own design. Special steel fiber composite. Damn near indestructible. Try to change the length. That's a prototype Billy I bought. Don't mind her. So check it out. If you can use it as a grappling hook or store combat. Possibilities are endless here. Nothing else to say. Don't say anything. And the papers might not report. So if the else keeps shooting me, know I was really looking out for us. Cheers, man.
The ultimate pleasantry.
God.
So yeah, back to the actual thing we were jumping to prematurely.
Yes.
Trail.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dragon. I have a couple things I want to talk about with Nelson. Not Nelson. With with what's his name? Melvin.
Foggy?
Wow, I'm sorry. I had a brain fart there.
I was wondering who you're talking about.
Just one quick thing to bring up really quick. I love the moment where Matt's like just speechless. He's just like, I don't know what to say. And then B, I just love how Elektra like interjects herself and like, can I have one? And
So
also,
great.
I can't get over how nice Melvin is in the moment. He's like, well, you know, I only made one, so sorry. It's like he genuinely regrets that he can't give her one. You know what I mean? So, all right, but yes, Dragon. I'm sorry. For some reason, that just really got us off, on tangents with that whole scene. But let's talk about the Braille Trail. Let's connect the dots one last time.
Let's feel all the little bumps. It's also fun.
Oh God. We just make Elektra so childlike in our version.
Yeah, we do. Because I know it's not fully accurate, but again, she does have these cutesy moments, though. That's what we kind of base it on. It's really
Well,
what it's...
Yeah, and one of those cutesy moments is what I just brought up with the whole, like, can I have one?
Yeah, anyway, Braille Trail. So, of course,
Yeah.
Karen becoming Ben, that fully paid off here. You missed it, but I mentioned the whole emotional Elson thing, which is really nice.
Sure.
Foggy becoming independent, which we'll get to your thing in just a second. Hold on to it. Nobu and the hand war, of course, culminated.
I don't know what thing you're talking about, but
We'll get there. Turk either. Tell me what you think of this one, Diggy. Turk either is returning from Luke Cage, or this is what motivates him to go to Harlem.
I would say this is what motivates him to go to Harlem. That's my guess.
That's the thing. Technically, he could have come back because now he has like an ankle thing. Because at the beginning of the season, he was taken out of. He was arrested, so we don't know what happened to him necessarily. But you're right, though. It could just. I mean, the Claire thing has me wigged out at what happens in the season for certain characters. That's the thing. Is Claire leaves at a certain point, she enters the other show. Turk, it's kind of a little up in the air.
Sure.
Because he kind of drifts in and out of Luke Cage, so he's like he could be anywhere. That's the thing. Okay, so Foggy, take it away. Foggy is working with
Jerry Hogarth. Yes. And,
it was a little something like this. I'm sorry, do you want to talk about it? I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, all I was going to say is, like, it's basically like Hogarth being like, here, Foggy, you don't need to just be in Daredevil. You can be in Jessica Jones or even Iron Fist.
Yeah, we have this sweet new product coming out. It's called Iron Fist. Give it a shot.
Okay,
it was a little something like this.
Our firm represents Hell's Kitchen's top clients. Of course, by accepting our offer, you'll get a personal assistant, a corner office, and the opportunity to branch out and build your own client base. Your former associate is Marcistol recommends you marry on. And after reviewing the infamous Punisher trial, I would be foolish not to invite a talent like yourself onto our team. Find our starting salary competitive.
That's one way to describe it.
It gets better. How does Hogarth, Chow, Benowitz, and Nelson sound?
I like mouthful. Wait, I mean, good mouthful.
You think outside of the box, and that is exactly what I'm doing. If the past few months are any indication, my firm is going to need a very resourceful attorney. Someone like you is not afraid to take on riskier, non-traditional cases.
Cases involving vigilantes.
Let's conquer people with complexities.
You have no idea.
Try me.
I love that try me thing because it's like this is a Jerry Hogarth I can get behind now. I mean, she was a little dodgy in the middle of Jessica Jones, and now she's back. This is the good Jerry Hogarth. She's back. Okay, let's see. Fire through a few things. Of course, Biggie, Elektra is dead, but she won't be dead for long because she's put into a blood sarcophagus.
God.
She was put into it in red. So for anyone whining about like, oh, she got the Elektra costume, but it was reversed and there was no exposed leg, don't be a baby, all right? She's in red.
Defenders.
That's the thing. I mean, look, it's costume upgrade, she'll probably get one. Even if she doesn't, it's the same costume.
I
Only
mean, I could whine about never seeing Frank Castle like really in action in the Skull costume, but whatever. At least we saw it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. But if it's still, it's a really good homage we have. Where she was in the red dress earlier this season. Now she's in the red blanket, and she's gonna be brought back. So that's close enough. It's fine.
Sure.
Point is, it's cool, and she will be back. We don't know. It could be Defenders, could be season. I want to say season 4, but never know.
Oh, I thought she was already confirmed for Defenders.
I don't know about that yet. I haven't heard that.
I could have sworn she was confirmed for Defenders. I could have sworn that.
I remember when we did her pitches way back in the day for Defenders, I put her in there because I brought her back in that.
Right. I mean, I honestly think that will be a plot point in Defenders, but who am I to say?
Anyway, actually, I may have introduced her in Defender. I'm sorry, let's not dwell on it. Anyway, let's see. Elektra's death is purely from the comic, except of course the man that killed her was changed. Which, by the way, did you see her death coming?
Well, yeah, I did, but that's just because, like, as I said, she has about as iconic of a comic book death as someone like Gwen Stacy. I mean, she. Well, I didn't. I'm just saying she is one of those characters who it's like, dying, and admittedly, yes, coming back, but also dying is like a huge, it's a huge trademark of her character. This season would be incomplete if she didn't die at the end of it.
Well, I mean, I was kind of going back and forth because I thought, well, it's not Bullseye, though, so would they do it with like a different character like that? Because, it's always Bullseye kills her.
Right. I don't necessarily mind that it's not Bullseye.
No, I don't mind. I'm just saying that.
As a matter of fact, we have our theories about who Bullseye might kill.
Yes. but you see what I'm saying, though, right? Because that's why I was like a little dodgy. Like, are they going to go that route? I mean, it's not Nobu who does it. I mean, could they go there? I mean, it should have. You're right. Then the grand scheme should have gone. I'm saying the first watch I was so caught up in the moment.
Sure.
Yeah. Let's see. Of course, Black Sky was killed and the war was averted, so there's a little bit of a respite there. Okay, let me tell you about the micro disc. So, Punisher.
Please.
Okay, now Micro essentially is basically his Punisher's sidekick. He's the guy that arms the Punisher. He's kind of his confidant. You really need to watch Punisher Origin. Wayne Knight plays him in that.
Oh, okay.
And he's good. It's gonna be interesting because there's some takes on Micro where he's a little more friendly with Frank, like in Punisher Warzone. He's a good friend of his. The other route of it is, it's kind of the closest thing Punisher ever has to an Alfred, I guess, is kind of Micro. The other way, sometimes Micro turns, he's like a kind of a bad guy turned to Punisher's side and then kind of reverts back. Sometimes that's the way the Micro story goes. So we'll see. There are versions of Micro. The point is he's gonna be working with the Punisher. And now here's the clue I learned on the rewatch. So this I didn't catch before, is that when Punisher he breaks the photo of he and his old unit, which includes Ski Nova and a whole bunch of guys.
Sure.
He punches that photo and that's where he finds the Micro disc. Now that intimates to me that Micro, that's how he knows Micro. Micro is one of the guys from his unit, so that might be
I can definitely see that, yeah.
That's my guess. So the point is this guy not only has information...
When I saw Micro, I kind of assumed Micro was like a code name for a mission or something like that, like something from his past. I didn't think it'd be a person, so that's interesting.
Yeah, they're casting a guy to play him. I know that one, so he won't be just the code name. But also, the other thing is, I'm thinking if he's from that photo, then that could be the flashback to Commandar. Remember the flashback to what happened, why they wanted his family dead. So that could be the storyline for the main Punisher thing, and they could explore through Micro in flashback.
Sure.
Okay, let's see. I'm trying to get. Here's the big stuff. Now we've gotten through all the main Braille trail stuff. Now it's kind of the season 3 spec territory here. So this is like the Bullseye stuff.
Okay. I mean, really.
Okay, let's see.
I'm kind of like out of time, so.
All right. Let me say and just try to follow along.
Okay.
So, the premise for all the folks out there, check out this story. This is, for me, I'm telling you, this is with the Kingpin thing. It's been set up where Kingpin's going to get his revenge on Nelson and Murdoch. And you can believe that, I'll tell you. Basically. The direction they set up where they're setting up him learning Matt's identity too. So eventually, whether he's going to figure it out through Karen or not, because here's how the comic goes. Here's the main source and to tell you what they're adapting. It's not gonna necessarily go down like this verbatim, but here's the crux of it in like a sentence.
Okay.
Born Again is Karen becomes basically Karen became became an actress. She left the law firm, became an actress, and she became addicted to heroin.
Oh no! Oh shit!
And
That's a twist.
basically, I'm just saying this is the comic. So again, I'll throw you the way it could go
Uh-huh.
now. Basically, she becomes addicted to heroin. She in desperate need for a fix.
Oh,
She
man.
sells Daredevil's identity.
Oh man! Jesus Christ! That's
And
dark.
eventually,
That's dark,
and this
dude.
makes. Do you want me to keep going with
Yeah.
how dark it gets?
No, go ahead. Go
So
ahead.
this information eventually gets sold to the Kingpin. So he now knows who Daredevil is. It's Matt Murdock, and he uses this to break Daredevil, basically drive him insane, break him on every imaginable level. So he doesn't tell everyone who he is, but he tries to break him in every imaginable way. Which nowadays in the comics, it's common practice for people to find out who Daredevil is. And I won't tell you all the myriad ways they kind of spin that, but the point is, nowadays Fisk would like make that widely known.
Sure.
Point is, basically tries to ruin Matt's life and break him. Like he does a whole bunch of terrible stuff. He also sends Nuke after him. We've seen Nuke and Jessica Jones. So again, sends Nuke after him. In the end, basically Matt reunites. Big thing in this story that we've also set up in the show, by the way. Matt reunites with his mother in this story, the nun. Remember we teased her in the season, so she would definitely be a part of this story. So expect. And basically, she nurses. In the end of the day, he nurses Karen. He forgives Karen. He nurses her through the addiction, and they become a really strong couple because of that. And then the other thing, basically, season 3 is going to be Born Again, and I'm convinced if they introduce Bullseye, we're going to do Guardian Devil. Guardian Devil is Kevin Smith's story. Guardian Devil, and basically the ending of Guardian Devil is what they'll do. The minute they introduce Bullseye, we got to sweat bullets for Karen.
Yeah, I
because Bullseye essentially he kills Karen with Daredevil's Billy Club.
Oh,
which we have now gotten.
Oh man.
So
okay.
I'm just saying those are the big red flags to be on the lookout for. That's from the comics, and let's just say if we go the heroin route per se, I'm gonna say if we go the heroin route, think about this. They have to use the Iron Fist heroin. They have to use the Steel Serpent heroin we've been setting up for 2 seasons now, Daredevil. So think about this.
I can see that, man, but Jesus, just the idea of Karen being addicted to heroin is just, I just can't picture that. I mean, it'll be riveting if it happens. It'll be riveting drama, but man, it's just it's so unlike the Karen we know and love.
I'm spinning you like the 2 ways this could go. Again, the faithful way is again, we Defenders could. When we have Defenders happen, which is this year, so we'll be telling it. Maybe like they hint at, because Karen will be in the show. Maybe her storylines hinted that she becomes in dealing with like Iron Fist's bad guys or something, dealing with Madame Gao. Eventually, she gets tied up in the heroin. Then going into Daredevil season 3, we just pick up with Karen with a drug addiction, the heroin, that she got addicted because she was in the Defenders show. And think about this. Season 3, of course, just things go spiral out of control. Matt Murdock, bad things happen. Karen becomes addicted, possibly dies. And we pick up with that in Defenders season 2, where Daredevil hates everyone on the team, especially Iron Fist, because this happened.
Yeah,
they work together as a team in Defenders, and Daredevil's like the big rift in the team because Karen Page died because of Iron Fist. He's basically playing Iron Fist like a young guy in the Defenders show, kind of like he just screwed basically screw up Matt Murdock's life, so he'd probably be a big rift in the team now. Other way it could go, just broad spec here, is that Fisk learns the identity by targeting Karen, which he could target her through the backstory, which we do not know the full extent of, just looking into her.
That's definitely something we need to explore in season 3 for sure.
Which homage is Born Again, that Karen Page is the result of Matt Murdock's undoing, and Fisk is looking into him. Let's see. But again, her past is definitely going to be showcased in the next season, I'm sure. And middle of the season, we introduce Bullseye, and it could end with Karen being dead.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
That's my spec for season 3. That's all I got for Braille Trailer.
Okay, let's quickly summarize our thoughts in the Nelson and Murdock verdict. So, Dragon, like just overall with the season, I do very much think it's the most mixed of all the Marvel Netflix shows. It's got some really high highs. Mostly all the stuff with the Punisher, like all the way around. Every second of screen time he has is a high for me, for sure. Also some low lows. It's like some very mixed stuff. Like the Ham stuff got very repetitive towards the end. Nobu was a very like dubious kind of main antagonist. I mean, he's cool, but he's not that cool. You know what I mean? And then So overall, it's a mixed bag, but it's still very rewarding to watch. It's still advanced things quite a bit. It advanced the status quo quite considerably. We're definitely at a different place now. I just wish that they would have gotten a little bit more creative with the hand stuff and with the ninja stuff, because there's really only so much you could do. And God, God bless them. They tried, right? They really did try to. And I think for the most part, they at least stylistically, all the fights kind of felt, and more or less. I mean, there were some fights with the ninjas that were definitely distinct. Others kind of bleeded together a little bit. So really, that's my main problem, is that the ninjas, it literally felt like I was playing a game of Double Dragon towards the end. You know, and I'm just fucking like, oh, go into an alley and beat this wave of enemies up, then go into another alley and beat this wave of enemies up. But at the end of the day, the season, like I said, all the characters do have very satisfying arcs. It's wonderful, to see. It's a good continuation of season 2. Frank Castle is a wonderful addition, amazing. John Bernthal just absolutely crushed it. Elektra is also a lot of fun, and I'll defend Elektra a lot more than a lot of people do. I think for the most part, her character is pretty damn good too. Not on the same level of perfection as Frank Castle is, but it's really mostly the hand stuff that kind of clouds our judgment of her. So, overall, it's a good season, but I would say it's like, I definitely think Daredevil season 1 and Luke Cage are like here, right? And then I definitely think Daredevil season 2 and Jessica Jones are kind of like here. It's like they're not that far down below, and I definitely think Daredevil and Jessica Jones, like season 1 of Jessica Jones, season 2 of Daredevil, I would give the edge slightly to Jessica Jones just because it has such a compelling villain, and the lack of a compelling villain is one of the things that hurts Daredevil season 2. But
yeah,
again, I'm curious to see what your opinion is on that, like kind of ranking the Marvel Netflix stuff.
All right. Well, on this episode specifically, before I get into the whole season, again, this is a good ending. I'm going to bleed into it here. So basically, this I thought this was a good ending with a few elements, but there are a few elements because they're a little last minute, but also again, kind of for the reasons you mentioned. They feel, again, the only way I can really describe it, Tiki, to me, is that they feel crammed in for the last episode. Again, basically the bus really is my main symbol of like what it feels like. They're all kind of crammed in there, It feels, it feels crammed in, or it's kind of like which makes it a hard sell for a few of the ideas they're laying out, especially in the last episode. For me, like all the iffy elements of the season boil down to episodes 12 and 13, and not so much 11. I think I'm lighter on 11 because I usually think it was like kind of the last arc of the whole thing. So that's where it gets really iffy.
I mean, I do genuinely like some of the stuff in 12, like, all the stick stuff in 12, I think is really good.
That's what I'm saying. But that's where it gets frustrating, is you get like good stuff that's kind of interspersed in the last 3 instead of being like a solid kind of like, because Daredevil season 1, everyone's like it's a piece of brilliance, and some just outshine others. This this season again, it's good. It's like we have a good build, one bum character who then gets killed, which is and then of course then we hit kind of a moment where we're like, okay, well, we're kind of ups and downs in the midst of episodes, which is unusual for us for Daredevil. But again, it's still better than most of your average superhero shows are on cable TV.
I would imagine.
Now let me just talk about a few of these elements. Again, most of my gripes of the season are again in the episodes we talked about, so this should be rather simple, just to kind of nail down here. So again, the Nobu shoot, and these are like the elements that are hard sells that don't necessarily ring to me as like they would be bad ideas, but again, because we don't have enough time to, I think season could have used more episodes, and maybe we could have fixed some of this stuff, because none of this stuff seems bad. It just seems like, again, I'm throwing it out. That's what it seems.
I don't know if I agree with that. If anything, I think the issues that are going to come up when we talk about Luke Cage kind of suggest to me that, if anything, maybe the Netflix stuff should be shorter, if anything.
Well, that's you're talking about Luke Cage. I'm talking about this show in particular. And again, I'm talking about if you're going to do the hand stuff.
I'm less talking about Luke Cage. I'm more talking about Luke Cage is a good example of why that might be, but I'm talking more about Netflix stuff in general.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Basically, the perfect world, Tiki, we would have had, again, shortly, we would have had, a full season of the Punch stuff, then another season of the hand stuff, but it would have been short seasons on both of them. We would have had them in succession with each other.
I mean, I don't necessarily, right, and I don't necessarily think I think this season, like, we could have focused on Frank Castle a little bit more and still done the hand stuff. I think the hand stuff became too much of a focus, where the focus should have been more on Frank Castle, especially in the latter half.
Yeah,
Because you gotta
that's
admit, the
fair.
Frank stuff is kind of like, we do get good Frank stuff at the end, but he does kind of like fade into the background a little bit as we get towards the home stretch, especially in regards to the action.
It's honestly, it's just when they get to the war stuff. It's like when we get to the hand war, that's kind of a step. Again, that's the jump in the shark, ninjas climb the building mode. It's like now we're in the
That
midst
is
of
very
the war.
much the jump the shark moment of the season. It really
So
is. There's no way around it.
We're cramming in this huge event that we've been building up in kind of the last 3 episodes. Well, I'm trying to think when.
That
Yeah, it
was
was like
episode 11. Yeah.
Yeah, like the last 3 episodes are when we're in the midst of a war, and I think we need a little bit more time to do that. That war could have been its own arc for the season. We could have ended on the ninjas climbing the building, honestly, partly.
Yeah. I don't necessarily think that, again, I like, honestly, I kind of shudder at the thought of a full season of just ninja fight after ninja fight after ninja fight. But
I'm saying in this fictional world of, again, like, let's just say we had a shorter season, but we just didn't, I don't know, more. I don't know. I'm just getting a little lost here on it, but you know what I mean, though. I don't know. I think maybe. I think some restructuring of that of the war stuff with the hand could have been beneficial to the season. I guess that's what I'm getting at mainly. And the main element of that, again, I think the Nobu showdown. Basically, it all boils down to this rooftop showdown, and they're basically trying to set it in Hell's Kitchen. And I don't know. It's kind of it doesn't measure up. Basically, becomes very apparent in that scene is that Nobu. The showdown Daredevil has with Nobu doesn't measure up to the Nobu fight in season 1, because that fight was awesome. It kind of came out of nowhere, but it was built that we know Nobu's not a guy to be messed with, and then he shows up in full awesome hand costume to an awesome climax. And that's like to build Nobu and kind of. It's like they tried to make Nobu a big bad without giving him. Which is a problem. We had time to get to know Nobu, like build the mystique of Nobu. Now it's just like he came back. How did he come back? And they don't tell us how they came back. We don't have to put it together visually, which is not a crime, but I want to get to know the guy. How does he feel being brought back to life?
Sure.
So all we know is he cares about Black Sky. So we don't get enough time to develop Nobu, which kind of makes him. Again, makes the fight a little less impressive. We're not really building why Nobu, like he's supposed to respect Daredevil. We're not really kind of as he did in the first season. We're not really quite getting that. Let me see. Again, the kidnapping is a cool concept, but it plays a little campy. I already mentioned that. I think I've kind of noticed, Tiki, especially somebody that watches with, if you're not a fan of Elektra in this season, which again you and I are, but I'm just saying some people, as you mentioned, are not. If you're not a fan of Elektra, then the ending definitely won't do it for you, because that's what people again.
I gotta be honest with you, the ending still doesn't really do it for me that much, because it's like, yeah, she's coming back. We already knew she came back. That's kind of obvious, it's an obvious cliffhanger.
Well, I'm saying that's paying off the sarcophagus thing, which I think.
I mean, no, you're right. You're right. The sarcophagus thing, it is a good payoff. That is a good kind of idea for the cold open. But still, I feel like that being the final note to end on of the whole season of like, oh, guess what? Elektra's coming back. It's like, no shit, Sherlock. Anyone who, I'm sorry. I don't mean to be that harsh, but you know what I mean? It is kind of like a very well-known thing that Elektra gets reincarnated.
Well, again, they're trying to also breach the people who, again, are watching because it's on Netflix versus knowing the comics, Tiki. So a lot of them may not know that.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, for us comic fans, it's kind of like a non-cliffhanger. You know what I mean?
Anyway, okay, let's see.
I honestly consider the thing with Frank to be a better cliffhanger.
Well, yeah, but
anyways, go ahead.
Anyway, so there's a.
I'm still very curious to hear your thoughts about this versus Jessica Jones, by the way.
Oh yeah, sure. I'll rank it again. Just reminds me.
Okay.
There's a lot. Yeah, I'm kind of losing my place here. Basically, on the rewatch, I think this the season holds up a lot better. Let me say that. I think we got some great emotional payoffs in this episode, and again, I think it's kind of setting good seeds for the future of Daredevil. That's the best thing I can say about this episode.
You're right.
The whole season, and there's also like a lot of pressure putting there's a lot of pressure on this season to do well for Daredevil because, again, there's a lot of expectation on the season. That might have crippled them a little towards the end. They kind of threw the kitchen sink into it, so maybe that's why they went all out with the hand. That's my speculation. But again, at the end of the day, again, compared to a lot of stuff we have on now, again, it's still pretty solid. Just again, we got a human show from Daredevil, which
I bet you would kill to have a season of Arrow that's this good.
You don't. Again, my main selling point with Daredevil season 1 was it's the best live action superhero show you've ever seen. Which now we have more Netflix shows to compete with that, but I still stand by that, by the way. So this is just me transitioning into my ratings, by the way. So okay. They kind of ranking at the moment. So again, I think there is this one was like a human Netflix show for me. This is like kind of your average show, but still very well done. Just the ending kind of peters out a little bit. That's kind of how it goes. It's a really solid season. The ending peters out a little bit, and just setting how we compare these. So again, season 1 for me still Daredevil, still perfection. I still say it's the best superhero thing I've ever.
Not surprised. Yeah.
Live action superhero show I've ever seen. That's still number 1. Down quite yet. Jessica Jones suffers from just 3.
We already know that the things it suffers from. So yeah.
Anyway, the point is, again, Daredevil season 2 is at the bottom. Daredevil season 1's at the top. And again, it's before we're gonna go through Luke Cage. This might change. Right now, I think it's Daredevil then Luke Cage, then Jessica Jones, but I think that might change once you get into Luke Cage. I got to judge that second half again, Tiki. I really do. But right now, that's where it stands. It's Daredevil, Luke Cage, then Jessica Jones.
But that first half of Luke Cage is so fucking amazing, and I was so into it, man.
It is. I'm saying again right now because I was still blown away by Luke Cage because I'm so in love with Luke Cage right now. It's still number 2, but it's I don't know, maybe.
No, you're right. That back half of the season, it's like it might play better or it might.
I might have been blinded the first time by just being amazed by everything. So I got to see exactly. Critical. Exactly. I got to see the critical eye.
Yeah.
Right now, that's where we're standing. Right. It sounds like we're on the same page with that.
Sounds like it. Okay. All right. Okay. So that's all for now, folks. Until next time, we'll return with another daring season of Discerning Daredevil. Excelsior.
Enough said.